Pretty. But man, will we take a win at this point? Oh, God. We have some Phillies to react to and a lot of birds as well. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
Center field issues, bringing in another left-handed bat, Max Kepler, who hasn't been relevant in 6 years, getting older in a lot of positions. They could have improved on that multiple different times, and yet here we are now relying on another trade deadline in a month and a half.
This team, there's something wrong with it. And what I'm seeing about is one of the highest payroll teams in baseball playing like absolute crap, which is unacceptable.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Tuesday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man John Kincade. Johnny, at least we get to come in after a Phillies W today.
We do get to, after a win, after getting to watch Zach Wheeler pitch.
Yes.
Which is always a pleasure. And I got to hear Connor last night put out the tweet of exactly what I was feeling. Very rarely does Connor tweet out something I was feeling.
Whoa, we're on the same page?
You tweeted out something last night that I was feeling. Does someone not know that I have a bedtime to get to? I felt like last night I was so annoyed. So annoyed with that game last night, and I was just like, could I get to bed, please?
Well,
one way or another.
At least we went to bed happy.
Well. Exactly.
Because the Phillies won, scoring 2 runs in the bottom of the 11th inning to win it 4-3. Brandon Marsh hits the game winner. Yep, JT with the game tying hit. Brandon Marsh with the game winning hit. And it was something that they desperately needed. Now,
it was desperate.
Let's get into some of the things from this ball game first. There was still a lot of bad in that game yesterday.
What? It was overwhelmingly bad. There was 5 times as bad as there was anything good.
You saw Otto Kemp, who had 3 hits yesterday.
That was nice to see Otto. Good job, Otto.
But the chopper to the left side that he just whiffs on, that was the slowest hit ball I've ever seen. And he just whiffs. Like, it hits off the tip of his glove. I don't know how. The bullpen, Matt Strahm has another implosion yesterday, which allowed the Cubs to tie the ball game. There was numerous poor base running decisions.
Oh, my gosh.
Nick Castellanos, who moves as fast as, a blade of grass growing.
It's the bottom of the 8th. What are you doing?
To stretch a single into a double. And
what are you doing in that situation? You can't do that.
Oh, God. It was a normal base hit to the outfield.
I mean, just what are you doing? It's what they've watched Harper do it for years.
Well, at least when Harper does it,
he's got wheels.
Harper can move a little bit.
Right.
That made no. And I like Nick. You know that.
No,
I'm one of the biggest Castellanos defenders in the city. But that's one thing that I can't defend. That was stupid. You hit the ball hard to the left fielder. Maybe he thought the left fielder was lollygagging a little bit. I don't know.
No,
that ball was there 10 feet before Castellanos was even at second base.
It made no sense. And I don't understand why I didn't understand last night. I got to tell you, I was surprised that it didn't garner more of a reaction on the broadcast. As to, come on, guys. Call it what it was. Yeah. That was stupid. And Sosa, stupid.
Yes.
Same thing.
2 times.
This team doing that. This team does the same crap over and over again.
And then there's something with this team and their addiction to rolling the ball over into double plays. Alec Boehm, double play yesterday in a big spot. JT Realmuto, almost a double play, legs it out, but then Edmundo Sosa follows up with a double play of his own. This team loves rolling over to the left side of the infield.
And not being select. They don't run counts. There was a time when this Phillies team,
except for Alec Boehm,
was one of the best in baseball in this run. When they were one of the best teams in baseball at making the opposing pitcher throw pitches.
Yeah.
Now, over anxious, jumpy, but don't worry. Rob Thompson will tell you all about his hitting coach.
Yeah,
he'll tell you all about him.
We'll get into that hitting coach.
He'll tell him
coming up here in the 6 o'clock hour.
He'll tell you.
But look, the Phillies get a win, and when they had a lineup like this yesterday, Trey Turner, okay, you got the leadoff spot. They were playing the left-handed pitcher, Matthew Boyd. Let's see.
We all agree on.
Yeah,
right?
and I hope he gets it again today.
And we all agree on it.
I don't need Stott in the leadoff spot.
No, and that's all fine. We're all fine with it, right?
So Turner, Schwarber,
Okay, fine with it.
Then it gets gross because Bohm's your 3-hitter with no pop.
Okay. He had, and again,
2 hits yesterday.
He did have 2 hits.
But as I've been saying,
I got you.
Guys aren't afraid to make mistakes against him.
And that was clear last night.
And when it was 1st and 2nd with 1 out, they weren't pitching around him.
Nah.
They were throwing strikes, man.
They had no
and
problem.
He was swinging, and he's hitting double plays. Castellanos, your 4-hitter. All right, a night like that, you got to do it. Real Muto 5. Sosa, Kemp, Wilson, Rojas was your starting lineup yesterday.
I asked you a question, and I didn't ask it of Connor. How could a team with this payroll have that bad a lineup to post? How could an organization, how could John Middleton, who has given his president of baseball operations this much money to spend, could that lineup be that bad?
Here's why, and I'll go through it. So, you want me to go by position? You want me to go by order?
Just give me your thoughts. When I ask that question of you, how could it be that bad?
Well, first and foremost, because I don't want this to be ignored, Bryce Harper not being in the lineup makes it look weird.
It makes it look ugly, yeah.
Right? Like, because he's your 3-hole hitter.
But every team in baseball, almost every single major contender has lost one of their big guys this year. Almost every single team. So I don't want to take that as
You're
an
asking
answer.
me a question?
I know.
That's number one.
Gotcha.
When he's in the order, everybody has to move up, and that's why Real Muto's batting 5th when he's hitting 240 this season. Right? So that is, to me, number one. Number two, they thought guys would be better. Bryson Stott is not playable against left-handed pitching.
Okay.
Alec Bohm, that power surge is never coming. And they still believe that it is, I guess. I don't know. And so he's now your middle-of-the-order hitter because he can at least put the ball in play, right? So to your point, at least he had 2 hits yesterday.
Uh-huh.
And then Dave Dombrowski's belief in platooning players in 2025 when both options aren't that good is probably the number one glaring weakness of this lineup. And those are the 3 things that come to my mind.
Connor, you have any other than that?
Yeah.
And what he said? That was a pretty good summary on your part there, Andrew.
No, that's solid. You also have to think about where the money is, too, because the big paid guys are Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Castellanos.
A top heavy construction.
And JT as well, and JT has dropped off, which is part of that, too. But you also have a lot of money in the pitching staff that makes them, with the Nola and Wheeler deals, one of the higher payrolls. It's still, you're
relying on the young guys, and the young guys have not.
Exactly.
All right.
They may have hit their ceilings.
Oh, that may have? All right, I'm going to tell you what you just did, what you did just for me there, giving me. They thought guys would be better.
Mm-hmm.
The fascination with the platoons.
Yeah, I
multiple
hate it.
Platoons.
Multiple.
The top-heavy roster construction with contracts on guys that has left them shorthanded other places. That is an indictment on Dave Dombrowski.
Yeah, and that's why, like, I've been ripping Dombrowski for the last couple of weeks, even when they were winning baseball games, because I don't understand still. I was listening to Unfiltered yesterday. Great debut.
It was a real good debut for
Bill
the boys.
And Ricky. And, Bill made the point that we've been talking about. Like, the reason why this fan base is so frustrated right now is because we all pointed out the flaws in December.
Right.
January. February. And nothing changed. That's the thing that's so frustrating, that we as radio hosts, fans, the people that don't get paid, we pay to watch baseball because we pay for tickets, we pay for streaming services, and we had a better pulse than Dave Dombrowski.
I always feel like when I watch Howie Roseman maneuver that I think I know, okay, they're thin at linebacker, they're thin at defensive end, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know. When I see Howie Roseman pull stuff off or make decisions,
And we get surprised.
I'm always like, I'm surprised because I'm like, wow, I didn't even know he could pull that off.
Yeah.
How he could do it. With Dave Dombrowski in baseball's much simpler.
Yeah.
You can understand how a guy can go do something or be able to done. There's not as much variables to it. This was poorly done.
Howie's 2 steps ahead of us at every time. Dave Dombrowski was 2 steps behind the masses.
I feel that way. I feel that way.
That's horrible.
When you're 2 steps behind the folks on Twitter.
Yeah, that's horrible, man.
That's bad.
He's Mr. HOF.
That's bad.
It's Cooperstown.
And he is a Hall of Fame guy.
All right, coming up next. I do believe this team is talented, as you guys know, despite yesterday's lineup, but that's the one that won. I also believe that they're lacking something. I can't believe I'm saying this. And it has nothing to do with talent. But maybe something happened last night that we go, all right, maybe we see more of it. Get into this coming up next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ricky Bo, Bill Colarulo.
Salciunas, 97.5. The Fanatic reacting to last night's Phillies extra innings win, 11 innings. And they win it thanks to Brandon Marsh with the game-winning hit. Would have been, probably maybe a fly out. The infield was in a little bit, but it was a shot. I mean,
that was a shot. He did a good job.
Yeah, good ball, but
well struck. Well struck. And thank heavens, though, that he looked very comfortable. Connor, I know before you were an advocate of him in left. And I thought last night, looking at him in left field, I was like, he's very comfortable in left field.
He's not a center fielder. He's not.
And thank God Rojas was in center field.
Yes.
Because that ball, Marsh never catches it.
Yes.
And the Phillies lose in regulation.
Yeah, and we don't want that. And maybe the Phillies can realize that they should stop playing somebody that's not good at a position. That would be nice.
They lose that game last night if Marsh is in center field and Rojas isn't.
So the Phillies win 4-3. And so I can't believe I'm getting here, but bear with me, John.
Okay.
So after
I think you've been really good to start today. I've taken 3 notes. It looks like you're on
notes.
You're very measured. I think you're great today. I'm very impressed.
You might laugh at this one though.
Okay. I'm known to laugh at you.
Maybe not.
Okay.
The Phillies need to have more fun, John. All right?
I'm going to breathe. I'm listening.
So it was nice to see. Obviously, winning is the best medicine, right? We always hear that. Winning's the cure-all. Winning's the best deodorant.
Yeah.
It was nice to see smiles on their faces yesterday when Marsh hits the game winner. They obviously love Brandon Marsh, right? Like his teammates love Brandon Marsh.
He's a wonderful guy.
You've never heard a bad thing said about him from anybody in that
Every
clubhouse.
time I've ever interacted with Brandon, he is a fantastic guy. He's a really good person.
And then after the game, Otto Kemp got the water Gatorade bath because he had the 3 hits yesterday. He was on the mic with NBC Sports Philadelphia after the game, which is something we haven't really seen this year because, remember, they put the kibosh on the daycare. And I'm not saying I need that back. But what I need to see...
I don't think we do.
...is life. And so I had a very interesting conversation with somebody over the weekend.
Okay.
And then I got a DM about it yesterday. And in between this conversation and DM, you and I actually talked about this off air.
Really? All right.
I'm going to say this without hopefully offending somebody because people get offended by everything. There's very little seasoning on this team.
Okay.
There's very little
seasoning.
Fire on this team.
That's fair.
Before Jose Alvarado's suspension, who was the guy that really showed emotion on this team? And now I'm going to get to it. If you ever watch the World Baseball Classic,
where they're blaring the salsa music and the crowd is wild and they're doing the chants.
Teams like Puerto Rico.
Oh my gosh.
The DR. Baseball means a lot. Now I'm not saying baseball does not mean something to the white guy from the United States of America.
No, but it's more culturally, it's different.
Correct. And I think back to like when Gene Segura was on this baseball team.
Sure.
The amount of fun that guy had on a daily basis. Because maybe what baseball provided not only for him on a day-to-day basis, but what it provided for him and his family.
Yes.
Baseball is an escape for a lot of people outside of the United States.
For many in the major leagues, it is their ticket for them and their families to a lifestyle that they never, ever imagined.
And so when the sort of idea of, hey, we're going to grow up with this team, and I was in favor of it, right?
Okay.
To me, grow up was also like, all right, enough with saying, hey, they're young. Like the expectations of Bohm all of a sudden becoming a power hitter, that we have to stop having that conversation.
When you're almost 30 and now 30.
Right. Like,
grow up.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
The slamming of the helmet every time he's upset.
You mean like last night?
Like last night needs to stop. Thinking that Bryson Stott is going to become a silver slugger may need to go out the window considering he's now 27 years old.
Batting title talk.
Thinking that Brandon Marsh is going to become the player that they expect him to become because at once he was a top prospect. He's 28. Like that conversation has to go out the window. So this isn't just like a background conversation.
Okay.
But I do believe there needs to be a little bit more life with this baseball team. And I wonder if that's something that we underrated or ignored a little bit too much.
I would tell you that hunger in life, fighting for things, wanting for things, I think sometimes brings a different attitude and a different zest and a different verve. So I think your point is very, very valid. I think I think the Phillies are very much like a country club team. A bunch of kids who were on the travel team with their pictures on a poster that was hung up on the back behind the clubhouse, behind the bench, more than they were kids that really didn't grow up with.
How many times have we heard stories that a lot of these guys played against Bryce like 10, 15 years ago on the travel ball teams?
Yes, that's a different upbringing.
And I'm glad that I just brought this up because now Joe the Cynic checks in. I've been saying it for a while. Their seasonings ride the bench to watch the non-exciting whites as starters.
And look, non-exciting whites is a funny thing, but it's a very bland bunch.
And like when they win, it's like, all right, good job, boys. We did our job today.
Yes.
It is a kid's game. Like, I understand they needed to grow up, but baseball, it's got to stop being a job. And maybe they got to start having fun again, John. So coming up next, do we underrate vibes? Do we overrate other things that we complain about when it comes to this baseball team? I have something on the hitting coach that I want to play for you coming up next because I know you have an opinion on the hitting coach.
I got a lot to say.
But we also want to have some conversations on this fun topic. And it's funny. I'm getting a lot of tweets coming in right now.
I bet.
I think a lot of people have been thinking it, but nobody wanted to say it.
The exciting whites?
It's Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Phillies walk off the Cubs. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies snapped their 5-game losing streak last night with a walk-off win over the Chicago Cubs. Brandon Marsh had the winning hit in the bottom of the 11th. He talked after the game about the rough stretch the Phils have been in lately.
Every team goes through rough patches, that we're going through. But, the good teams find a way to get out of it, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep showing up every day and just giving our all.
Maybe this is the momentum the Phillies need with that walk-off, some celebration after the game that we haven't really seen from the Phillies yet this year. Zach Wheeler also threw a strong 6 innings in his first start back from paternity leave, including his 1,000th strikeout as a Philly. The Phillies will try to make it 2 straight tonight as they turn to Mick Abel against Colin Ray, 6:45 p.m. first pitch with the Chicago Cubs at the Bank. The Eagles begin mandatory minicamp today. Head coach Nick Sirianni will meet with media at 2:10. We'll keep you updated on everything from camp. The Panthers took down the Oilers 6-1 last night to take a 2-1 lead in the Stanley Cup Finals. Jeff McClain of the Inquirer will join us coming up at 8:25. Amy Fadul will join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update is brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. When you need a new water heater, choose one that's built to be the best. Choose Bradford White. I'm Connor Thomas on the home of the NBA Finals in Philadelphia, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Ricky Bo. Bill.
It's 97.5 The Fanatic, reacting to the Phillies win yesterday and talking about maybe something that this team's lacking, and that's just like energy.
I like spice.
Seasonings.
By the way, spice. Yeah, one of my buddies.
Spice.
Spice.
So I saw one of our responses on YouTube in terms of this conversation. Oh, I lost it. Where'd it go?
The non-exciting whites is one of my favorites now.
But it was, here we go. Greg checked in. To be fair, there are whiter teams than the Phillies. Take the Cubs, for example, the best offense in the league. So, again, this is not just the Phillies are too white conversation. It's the Phillies have no, spunk to them right now. So the Cubs, yes, to Greg Q, we're going to break down the nationalities of these rosters.
No.
The Cubs have Pete Crow Armstrong, who is one of the younger, more exciting players in baseball right now. We had a conversation before the show. There was a ridiculous catch yesterday for the A's. The center fielder of the A's made
spectacular.
He climbed the wall.
Like Spider-Man.
Balanced on the wall, leaned over the wall, and made a catch. And I asked you guys, when was the last time you remember a highlight reel play for the Phillies? And you guys brought up the Mundo Sosa catch. Now, part of that was the fact that was a different position for him, right? We were like...
Well, no, he stole a home run.
Yeah, but we were also in awe that this guy doesn't play outfield and he makes a great catch. But, the Phillies, think about the video yearbook that comes out at the end of the season. What's in the video yearbook of the 2025 Phillies so far?
The Phillies turning a double play cleanly.
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
Because they never do it. They can barely turn a double play.
They're a boring baseball team. And
no, they're a bad baseball
Now, they
team.
could be a good, boring baseball team, just like how Sirianni. Remember Sirianni said one of our identities is being boring, and I'm okay with that? Because they were so good, they were so efficient at running the football and doing the tush-push and everything that it didn't matter if there was no pizzazz to it. They were just beating everybody up. But over 162 games, you need to have some life. Or if you're just going to work every day, like I said to you during the commercial break, they're acting as if baseball's a job, and you said you're okay with it.
I'm okay with baseball being a job.
We have fun every day.
Sure.
This is our job, but we have fun because if you're not having fun, imagine coming into work every single day not having fun. You're going to be miserable, and that's any walk of life. I'm not even talking about our jobs. I'm talking about being an accountant. If you're bored every day.
Thing is, though, boring is different, though. The Phillies aren't boring. Because part of being boring means that you efficiently go about your business. Means that you do routines over and over. The Phillies don't do routine properly. This team can't effectively...
Or they routinely make mistakes that bother you.
The Phillies' routine is being unimpressive. The Phillies' routine is not being able to execute the basics. To me, that's not routine.
Right,
that's the opposite of routine.
Fair.
Whereas, so to me, boring is the people who just come to work and they're able to do X's and O's, block and tackle, do those things. So when Sirianni talks about being boring, it's different.
Right.
Right now, there's nothing. Now, Rob Thompson, press conferences. Now, boring. You want boring?
Yeah.
That's boring. I'll give you that.
So Pratik checks in.
I'll put you right to sleep.
Pratik sends us 2 tweets here. Number 1, I've been saying for a long time a huge problem with the Phillies is they're too white. This is what Pratik's saying. He says, I'm proud of you for pointing out some of these things. You guys are 100% correct. This team needs to have more fun and show some more swagger. FYI, this is a follow-up tweet. Tweeted this last night, and I'm going to read you the tweet now. Wow, what an inning so far. Finish this off and hope this ends the skid. The team has some smiles and energy for once. So, again, this isn't like a white or Dominican or Puerto Rican or Cuban or black thing, right? Like it's
No, it's not.
It's whether or not there's smiles and energy, and they've not had it for a long time. Now, part of it's losing, but even when they were winning, were you like watching the team having fun?
No, they were not, but it did not appear. But the Phillies, and this is the thing, is that the Phillies till 2022, till the last 2 weeks of the year, they were an unlikable bunch.
Yes, they were.
And we did shows on the fact that the fans of this town didn't find them to be a likable bunch.
I remember
can tell you right
JT
now,
with the that's just 2 paychecks when he didn't go to Canada because obviously what was going on at the time.
JT Realmuto is not a bag of laughs.
No, he's not.
He's not a bag of laughs. And whether Nick's like Nick, look, I like you and I are both Nick Castellanos guys.
Yeah.
Even though Nick Castellanos can be one of the most sort of dismissive. I've seen him, and we've seen him with the media. Mm-hmm. He can be a jerk to people sometimes when he doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And
then there's some days where he's great with his press conferences.
I don't know what that's all about. Yeah. I don't know what is going through his head.
Maybe his mood swings.
But you and I are a big fan of his.
Yes.
Like as far as I enjoy watching Nick Castellanos play. I like his hustle. I like a lot of the stuff about him. But his nonchalance bothers people. Mm-hmm. But to me, there's a difference between it's not about whiteness.
No.
It's about everybody being from commonality. Is that there's a difference between your background, my background, Connor's background, Haley's background, Brendan's backstory. We all have we constantly will have conversations about things in life where we look at life completely differently because of how we've lived.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know my child has lived a completely different life than I lived growing up in Broomall than she grew up.
Right.
So like we lived, I think I can tell you, a lot of the Phillies grew up with monogram golf bags.
Maybe, yeah.
And country clubbish baseball backgrounds.
And look,
and that is a different background than I grew up in this job. I grew up around a lot of baseball players watching a lot of baseball players who struggled through, who came from nothing.
Right.
I knew guys in the major leagues who had grandparents' floors, who their grandparents had dirt floors. They said, my grandparents have dirt floors.
Right.
And I was able to get them their first house that had floors.
Right.
And I can't relate to that.
No, you can't. Right.
I mean, it's so. I mean,
and this isn't.
We all have different upbringings. It's not about just the skin color or ethnicity. It's about life.
And this isn't just a Phillies thing. I'm going to give you a random story from a couple of years ago with the Miami Marlins.
Okay.
And Marlins stink, right? So they had a young player that came up, and I forget his name, but he hit a home run in his first ever at bat.
Wow, that's nice.
And he bat flipped. And Miguel Rojas, who's now with the Dodgers, longtime baseball player.
Sure.
So again, this is not a Midwest white guy, right?
Right.
Miguel Rojas goes up to him after the guy hits his first career at bat home run. Hey, we don't do that stuff around here, the bat flip.
Okay.
And then Jazz Chisholm, who was with the Marlins at the time, confronted Miguel Rojas like, yo, dude.
Don't speak for everybody.
I'm young. I'm like him. I'm going to have a little bit pizzazz to my game. And that became a problem within that clubhouse because there were some people that wanted it to be like the, hey, baseball, like Yankee way.
Sure.
Like, let's do it this way. And then there were some young players going, man, I'm having fun playing this game. Like, lighten up.
Do you remember when Brian McCann?
Oh, I remember you telling me this story. Yeah.
Brian McCann, the old catcher of the Atlanta Braves, he confronted a player for the other team that he felt showed him up.
Yeah.
And literally got in the base paths and was getting in his face like he was going to fight him. And he had this thing about that's not the way the Braves play.
Right.
I took issue with it. Brian and I had issues with it as a on air.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, Brian, you're of a different generation. You're of a different background. You're of a different whatever. Then when Acuna and Albies came to the team and Brian came back.
Right.
I'm interviewing Brian McCann and I said, Brian, remember our previous conversations? Are you going to have a problem with your own teammates?
Yeah.
Because they flip bats.
Yeah.
They style and profile. Are you going to have a problem with them? And he's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, hey, you got to have the same energy. It's a really interesting conversation to have.
Yeah.
I personally think the next generation, the way they want to play, what fires them up.
And again, this is 162 games. Like
correct.
That, I think baseball.
I'm entertained by it.
You need it, or you're gonna get bored. And I know it's gonna sound crazy saying that a baseball player could get bored, but long, grueling season, regardless of how much money they're making and the experiences in life that they have that we don't, it's a long season. And so you got to lighten up a little bit. And hopefully, after last night where we actually saw like a little Gatorade dumpage, it doesn't have to be every game.
No.
But you can't just go into clock in, clock out every single day.
Sure.
All right. This conversation will continue. We'll check our text line for the first time next segment. Also, Rob Thompson spoke on Kevin Long yesterday. We'll play that for you.
This is going to get you fired up.
And then I have something to play for you that's kind of exactly what I've been saying, but I think this conversation could go in many ways. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We want to hear from you, so text us at 610-632. It's 97.5 The Fanatic. You know, a beauty of a topic like this is we were just going to mention it, and then all of a sudden, it seems like a lot of people have been thinking it, that the Phillies are just lacking a little pizzazz.
Yeah, they're a little pasty.
Well, no, again, not just that, but yes.
No, but I mean, as far pizzazz, the Phillies are a very,
like you said, a country club-like team.
No, they're very much like. Look, I would say yes. They're a team that has a lot of. There have been a lot of guys. I would see it, and there are factions. What a lot of people don't understand is there are factions sometimes within a baseball clubhouse. And I always laugh. It's one of the things that you'll hear from fans. It's like, well, they got to have Garrett Stubbs in the clubhouse.
Right.
And I'm like, okay.
I saw that on our YouTube feed this morning.
And I always hear from people about the clubhouse. And I always say, I go to the clubhouse like 10 times a year. I am not an expert on the clubhouse. But I go to the clubhouse 10 times a year. Mm-hmm. I'm in there. I talk to the players. I'm in there. So to me, I always hear from people telling me about the clubhouse, and they have no idea what the clubhouse is like. They have no idea what it is. And it is the clubhouse of the Phillies is very businesslike.
Yeah.
It was never a clown show. It was never a three-ring circus. It's just is what it is. It is a very businesslike
But
approach.
you know what's amazing?
And it always sort of was.
You know what's amazing? But when they win, like the NLDS, NLCS, they will that's why so many people fell in love with them.
That's what most teams do.
I know, but
they look like every other team I've ever seen when they win.
They just look like they have a damn blast.
They do, but they look like every other team
going to
I've ever
Xfinity
seen.
Live afterward, which I think is really cool.
That's cool.
And like partying with the fans. Like I understand they're up in the VIP area, but
of course.
It's like I don't know, like that connection that people felt with this baseball team 2-3 years ago when they would go to Xfinity Live after winning, like that was beautiful.
And remember, they didn't have that connection with them as mid-September of that year.
Yeah, absolutely.
They created that connection by events.
Right, exactly.
By memories.
Right. Yeah. So what do we got on the text line on this, Connor? You can text the show, call the show, 610-632-0975.
All right, so we have a check-in here, and this person says, Otto's bunt and JT smiling and gesturing across the diamond, that's fun. Excitement for the young guy. They need more of that all around.
Well, and that's why when one of our YouTube guys said, Greg Q said, well, look at the Cubs. In fairness, they're even whiter. Again, it's not a white thing. They also have a 23-year-old young rising star in the league in Pete Crow Armstrong. Like, there's spunk to him. He makes highlight reel plays. There's excitement surround him. This Phillies team is pretty old. Now, the Cubs actually have, I looked it up, the Cubs actually have an older average age.
They do.
Which is amazing because they have some very young players that are exciting to watch. But, like, we're waiting for Crawford to get called up. Part of it is just to kind of get a breath of fresh air. Like it was good. It was great to see Otto Kemp have that day yesterday.
It was awesome,
and maybe that provided some sort of life inside the clubhouse.
I was with a Cub yesterday, and was just hearing about their clubhouse and the way that they are run by their manager. And their manager last year
was a younger manager in Craig Counsell.
But Craig Counsell was sort of setting down rules last year and expectations last year, and there was some
pushback
to the new manager. And it was like, dudes, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm here, and this is the way things are going to be done. Get used to it. This is the way we're going to do things. A strong-arm manager, but still a players type of guy. And now this year, they're reaping the benefits.
Well, that's why they had so much success. Now, part of it was they had a bunch of young players, Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo and company. But it was David Ross. Was that his name? The catcher.
David Ross, sure.
Yeah. Like, he just played for that team and then went into the managerial role. So he knew kind of how that clubhouse wanted to be run. And there was the story of Girardi. When he got fired here, like, there were some stories about Joe Girardi and how rough it was inside that clubhouse. So
you have to have
and that's one of the things you will credit Rob Thompson for.
Right. Rob Thompson creates a good atmosphere. But Craig Counsell went in there and was like, look, new sheriff in town, this is the way things are going to be done. And there is also something that I sort of crave is accountability.
Yeah.
In that guys will get called out in front of their peers.
If they make a mistake.
But they will also get patted on the back and supported in front of their peers.
Now, speaking of Rob Thompson.
Yep.
So Topper yesterday spoke to the media before the game, as he does every single day. And he was asked about Kevin Long, because that's obviously been a recent talking point because of the offensive struggles. And Kevin Long is the hitting coach of the Philadelphia Phillies. Here was Rob Thompson pregame yesterday talking about K-Long.
Whenever a team struggles like this, people immediately say change the hitting coach. Why do you think Kevin is the right guy still leading this group?
I think Kevin's the best hitting coach in baseball. And I think these guys listen to him. He works, he's tireless worker. He's great with the players. He's knowledgeable. Obviously, he's knowledgeable. But he also tells them the truth. And they respect that.
Go ahead, Johnny.
I'm just going to look. Rob Thompson knows 10 times more about Kevin Long and the positive things that he does that I never see.
Right.
So I am not going to say that I know more than Rob Thompson. I am just going to ask you, what is the results? What are the results? Rob Thompson, can you tell me the players that since he has been here that he has developed as hitters? I'll hang up and listen.
I mean, I could pick a big one with Kyle Schwarber and what he's done against left-handers. That's a major development that he credits to Kevin Long.
It's okay. Kyle Schwarber was a huge fan of his before.
Correct.
Was a huge fan of his before he got here. Kyle Schwarber was a semi-star player before arriving in Philadelphia.
I gotcha.
So I need to know a young player that he developed.
Now
he has had tons of opportunity and tons of lab time.
Can I say something?
Yes, sure.
Maybe the young players aren't that good.
No, that could be.
Right?
That could be. But you're telling me,
Alec
wait.
Bohm-
You're telling me
can't-
every one of them? Every one of them?
Well, who's every one of them? They're what, 3 or 4?
No, but I'm saying is, and then the approach of this club, even the veterans. You think the veterans have a good approach at the plate on this team?
We were praising it earlier in the year.
This year. What, year 4 of it? Year 5 of it?
So did you see the story from Matt Gelb in The Athletic yesterday? If you didn't, I don't have the exact numbers, but basically Kevin Long's the thing that he really wants the Phillies to do is to attack fastballs, right? And because they've been trying to see more pitches, they've been watching the fastballs go by. And what they're really struggling with towards the bottom of the league is their batting average or whatever, OPS. Well, I forget which numbers Matt Gelb did. We'll find it. The OPS against any sort of off-speed pitch is one of the worst in Major League Baseball. And so
I'm just going to tell you is that if he's doing one of the best, the Phillies are considered one of the least disciplined teams in Major League Baseball at the plate. They are considered to be a team that is having major problems at the plate. And they have not been developing young players, young bats. So I'm going to tell you that is a really, really soft endorsement.
So coming up next, a former Philly chimed in about Kevin Long. And I will play that for you coming up next because it's kind of what I've been saying, but I also understand if that people just want maybe a head to roll so that there's a fire lit under the team. I understand it. You'll hear that coming up next. We'll check your text messages as well. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phils win it in extras. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies snapped their 5-game losing streak last night. Took 11 innings to do so, but they walked it off over the Cubs. Brandon Marsh had the winning hit in the bottom of that 11th inning. He talked after the game about the rough stretch the Phils have been in lately and how the team could get out of it.
Every team goes through rough patches, that we're going through, but the good teams find a way to get out of it, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep showing up every day and just giving our all.
So maybe a walk-off win is the spark this team needed. We'll find out tonight. Zach Wheeler, well, he threw a strong 6 innings, his first start back from paternity leave, including his 1,000th strikeout as a Philly. But As the Phillies quest to make it 2 straight tonight, they're going to turn to a much younger pitcher, Mick Abel, on the mound against Colin Ray, 6:45 p.m. first pitch against the Cubs. The Eagles begin mandatory minicamp today. Head coach Nick Sirianni will meet with the media coming up at 2:10. We'll keep you updated on news from the Birds. And in hockey, the Panthers took down the Oilers 6-1 last night to take a 2-1 lead in the Stanley Cup Finals. Jeff McClain of the Inquirer will join us coming up at 8:25. Amy Fadul for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update is brought to you by Extreme Experience. Give Dad the ultimate driving experience in a Ferrari or Porsche on a real racetrack. Extreme Experience hits New Jersey Motorsports Park August 14th through 17th. Save 25% for Father's Day. ExtremeExperience.com. I'm Connor Thomas on the home of the NBA Finals in Philadelphia. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Texting, the easiest and most convenient way to communicate.
Texting. When you want to...
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Talking a lot about the Phillies to start the show. We got some Eagles stuff that we're going to get into as well. We put out a tweet yesterday on the station's Twitter account Yeah, they do. Mandatory minicamp. But Brendan Gunn put out a tweet yesterday when we were talking about the Trey Hendrickson versus Jair Alexander discussion. Would you trade for Trey Hendrickson or just sign Jair Alexander? Look what I did this morning, Johnny. I tallied the votes.
You did the tally?
Because it wasn't a poll. I'll give it to you here coming up to start the 7 o'clock hour.
Okay.
But first.
You did the old-fashioned, slashes through. That's very good.
I did. Well, that tells me that there's 5. Why? How else do you do it? Do you just do 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1?
No, it's very good.
It makes it so much easier to follow.
That's good.
So, Whit Merrifield. Mm-hmm. He had a very good career, by the way. So, I don't know why you're...
What's up, Whit?
He had a good career, just not here with the Phillies. So, Whit Merrifield did a podcast. I don't know which one it was, so my apologies. But Whit Merrifield was asked about Kevin Long. And, obviously his time here with the Phillies and all that kind of stuff.
All right.
And... he had this to say about Kevin Long and hitting coaches in general. Take a listen.
As far as coaches go, blaming hitting coaches for offensive struggles is the most out of touch blame that you can do in our sport. There's not much that the coach is doing outside of giving you a scouting report before the game. Frankly, every hitter is different, so you can't have just one scouting report for a whole team. If I would ever be a hitting coach, and I'd never want to be a hitting coach, that you have to have individualized reports for pitchers for each player. And I thought K-Long did a great job of that over there in Philly. I really do. But all you can do as a hitting coach is tell the guys what this guy's got. And they were playing the Mets. Every player knows every pitcher that they were about to face. So there was no surprises. And then you flip the ball and throw the ball and make good flips and throw a good BP, and you've done your job for the day. It's kind of up to the players after that.
That was about the Mets series. That obviously went horribly for
I'd ask Kevin Long a question, though.
Yeah.
I'd ask Whit Merrifield a question. Okay, Whit, that's cool. I said, so what do you do when the message isn't getting through and the players aren't listening? When a manager does their job or a hitting coach does their job, and it's obvious that they're not being listened to, and the results are consistently the same or declining as they are this year, what do you do? Do you just keep doing the same things? Or do you change up the voice, change up the messaging, and do something different?
Well, and
I will tell you that for the eternity of baseball and in all sports, you change up the messaging.
And that's the one thing that, when it comes to the hitting coach discussion, if somebody wants to move on from Kevin Long and that might just to hopefully light a fire under the players,
sure.
Hey, you guys got this guy fired.
And you're not
You guys are the reason why he lost his job. You guys are the reason why he's not, he'll still get paid, but whatever. I understand that. The thing I always say, I would give Kevin Long a 10-year contract or fire him today. I don't care. To me, what Whit Merrifield said there is kind of what I've always thought. You're not in the box with the hitting coach, but if you're...
That's every coach in every sport. That's every coach in every sport.
Well,
yes, it is.
No, not necessarily.
No, the manager has to make legitimate decisions.
But it's every coach in every sport.
The offensive play caller in football's in a guy's helmet for
Yeah.
No, but it is. But still, though, the players have to make the play. The players got to make the plays. It's what has to be done. The players got to make plays.
Right, but he's saying scouting report, batting practice. Basically, all you're doing
And whatever's happening, they're not listening to him. They don't listen to him. They don't execute whatever his plan is. He may have the most brilliant plan in the world. They don't listen to him.
Right, and then
they have
if
a terrible
that needs to
approach
change,
at the
then
plate.
it changes.
This team has a bad approach at the plate.
Yeah, but all this sounds like it's coming back to players, not Kevin Long.
Well, no, but if it is, that's what happens, though, Connor. What do you hear all the time? You can't fire 30 guys.
No, I got you.
And this team's too freaking comfortable. Why? Because the manager sits there and just goes, well, we'll get in tomorrow, and it's baseball, it's a long season, and we'll just do it. And the same crap every year, same messaging every year. Everybody's very comfortable. That's why there's no fire. That's why there's no juice. That's why that's why the results keep going down, and that's why everybody's just comfortable. There's no energy. It's where they're at.
But you've also said that them being comfortable is a good thing too.
No. Comfortable when you're getting results is a great thing.
Okay.
Comfortable when you're not is a bad thing. Comfortable when you're showing bad work habits is a terrible thing. When your boss, when your manager won't call out, won't sit behind a microphone and say, this team runs the bases horribly. And they make terrible decisions, and we've talked to them about it over and over again, and I'm damn tired of it. It's okay to say that.
Yeah.
Oh, but feelings. You might have bad feelings in the club. At some point, what you're doing's not working. So, Rob Thompson, it's okay to say, you know what? I've done the soft approach with this group for 3 years now. They do stupid things in the base paths over and over again.
Do.
And you know what they don't do?
Last night was bad, too.
And you know what they don't do? They don't listen to me. So you know what I'm going to tell you right now is they're running the bases like Little League players, and that's got to stop.
That's fair.
But they don't. But instead we get, guys are just trying to do too much. And we'll get back after it tomorrow.
Yeah, yesterday, Castellanos and Sosa, that can't happen.
Everything will be okay.
You're listening to 97.5, The Fanatic, WPEN, WPN, HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. All right, give us a text message, and then I will give you an update on our Trey Hendrickson, Jair Alexander conversation from yesterday. What do we got on the text line?
Dave from Philly isn't really in on the fun thing. So he says they were fun, they did all that, and came up short. I think they said we need to be more businesslike, and that will get us back to where we belong at the top of the league.
Well, again, businesslike was 2022, the year they got to the World Series. They just started having fun
when they started to win.
They started winning.
They were very businesslike.
Yeah.
They were businesslike, and everybody thought they were boring and nasty, and they weren't a fun bunch.
Right.
I can tell you this much. They
Do you
weren't
remember
a fun
the week
bunch.
leading up to that last week of the regular season where people were actively calling this station saying, you know what? I don't even want them to make the playoffs.
You mean when they backed into the playoffs thanks to Milwaukee losing 10 of 14 at the end of the year?
But there were people that did not want them to make the playoffs. They disliked the team. There were people that disliked that Phillies team so much that they didn't even want them to make the playoffs.
If Milwaukee doesn't lose 10 of 14, they don't even make the playoffs.
Yeah, but fortunately they did, and then we all have fond memories of it. That's interesting, though, that he doesn't want them to really have all that fun. Like, I don't know. They don't seem to be having fun right now, and they just lost 9 of 10.
Exactly.
So maybe a little bit of life inside the dugout would be nice.
Yeah,
for
you
a
don't
change.
need you don't need the seed baths and the dumping cups of water.
But I was cool with the dumping of the jug yesterday on the rook.
That was fine on the rookie.
Kemp.
That's awesome. Like, to me, that's awesome.
And it was
three hits, combined exit velo of 40 miles an hour.
You know what, though? It was great to see. It was great to see.
So was that chopper to
awesome
him. So was that chopper to him that he missed somehow. All right. So yesterday when we were on the air, right around the 8 o'clock hour, there was the news from Green Bay that the Packers were releasing cornerback Jair Alexander, and that's obviously an area of potential need for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, there are people that do believe in Keely Ringo still, based off of hope and nothing else. There was also not a report, but a story on NFL.com. They did these 7 trades they'd like to see before the season started, and one of the trades was Trey Hendrickson, the incredible pass rusher from the Cincinnati Bengals, to the Philadelphia Eagles. It wouldn't cost them a bunch in terms of draft picks because the reason why he looks like he could be on the move is because of contract stuff. What would happen is you'd probably get a 4th-round pick, but then you'd have to pay Hendrickson a lot of money because he's a stud. 17.5 sacks each of the last 2 seasons. That's 35 sacks total. That's ridiculous. So Brendan Gunn put out the tweet. You know, if you had your pick, who would you pick? There were a ton of responses. So we appreciate everyone that's a part of the show. Now, I weeded out the ones that just said LOL or why is this even a question? I don't know how that's a response. They need a pass rusher. They need a corner. I don't know why you took exception to the question. So I finished with 103 responses that gave an answer. 7 of them said none, believe it or not. That they think this team is good enough, and not just that, our man, the NBA Slime, responded with, don't put too much money toward one of these 2 players because you have to worry about paying Jalen Carter and all that kind of stuff.
The one thing is, though, is that that's where a shorter-term deal with somebody could maybe still you'd have plenty of money for Jalen Carter. I had people yesterday. I answered a couple of the people that responded.
Yeah,
and they said it's great that Howie could go get both. I said no, he can't.
Yeah, they can't.
Not unless Jalen Carter's leaving. Right, you cannot.
Right,
you cannot do both. You absolutely could do one.
Yeah,
you could.
So 7,
I don't believe that the Hendrickson is financially doing the math a little bit yesterday afternoon.
It's going to cost too much.
I think it's just too much.
It's going to cost too much money. So 7 of the 103 said none. How about 72 people said Hendrickson and just 24 said Jair Alexander? Now,
I'm not surprised at that.
And a lot of the people that said Trey Hendrickson was because Jair Alexander is hurt too often.
That's a good answer.
Hey, that is true. We always talk about how availability is the best ability or one of the best abilities.
Thanks, Coach Herm.
But 72 voted for Trey Hendrickson. Just 24 said Jair Alexander. I'm not surprised, to your point, because Hendrickson's a stud, but I think Jair Alexander is better than what a lot of people think. I think the injury stuff is obviously a problem. I saw somebody respond with, well, he didn't do a good job defending A.J. Brown last year. First off, A.J. Brown's a stud. Second of all, did A.J. Brown have a great game against the Packers in the playoffs?
No, I'm talking about the regular season game.
The regular season game, sure. But the playoff game...
though, A.J. was injured.
Yeah, and it was the Dallas Goedert show.
No, I understand, but A.J. was injured.
It was a very little showing.
A.J. was injured.
He was injured. He was playing through it.
He's still playing through it. So, I mean, A.J. was there as more decoying.
Now, the question is...
Ever since that Steeler game on the sideline, A.J. was banging around.
Yeah, that's true. The question is, and you sent this to me via email.
Uh-huh.
Now you're emailing me. You're not texting me. Oh, no. You texted me this
Well, I
one.
wanted to email.
Yeah, you keep me on my toes.
I try to.
Could Howie Roseman make a move so that another team doesn't acquire the player? We'll get into this coming up next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia Union Soccer.
They play short here. Quick, Sullivan! Score!
about whether or not you would make a move to hopefully block a player from going to another team. What do you guys make of somebody using a bathroom that's not technically your bathroom?
What are you talking about?
So we have the bathrooms right out here in the hallway.
I go up to the next floor.
I do as well because it's cleaner.
Okay, but are you talking about like a man using a woman's room?
No.
No. Okay.
There's a man, somebody from the Peter and Stan show. One of my favorite people.
Yeah.
He was using.
Well, they like coming over here.
He was using our bathroom for the number 2 though.
It's a public restroom.
Yeah, but they
they come over here.
They got theirs right next to them.
Yeah.
He's making the walk all the way over here.
It might have been
number 2.
It might have been that Carter boy.
It was Carter boy.
It might be Carter boy. He's an O'Hara grad, so I'm gonna have his back.
Okay. Now I go upstairs because those are cleaner. Because in case people don't know, the building that we're in, there's some empty spaces.
It's like a cruise ship.
And so I go to the emptiest of spaces because those are always the cleanest. These bathrooms are always in use because we're always working, we're always on the air, and radio people are disgusting. So I go upstairs where it's like the business offices to take care of some business. But they got a bathroom right next to them.
Well, wait a minute, too. Because usually, I know in the morning, because when we turn left off the elevators, if you turn right, there's a path of rose petals that leads right to Peter and Stan's studio.
Yeah.
I thought they had a private bathroom.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Sort of like George Costanza.
Like it's gold, it's on a throne.
I thought they had something like
Maybe
that.
Maybe it was occupied.
Yeah, that could be. Carter boy comes over to us.
That's what it is.
To take care of that business, by the way.
It's a public bathroom. You don't own the bathroom. People can use it.
All right. So Trey Hendrickson, Jair Alexander, 2 players we talked a lot about yesterday. You said something on the air that you would be concerned if a team like the Commanders acquired Trey Hendrickson.
We talked about it in post-show headlines.
Well, you asked this question post-show headlines. Right. Post-show headlines is now going on to the radio, baby.
Which is fun, and look.
It was an interesting question.
To me, it's the idea of, and yesterday they did a little bit of on NFL Live, is the idea they listing the teams that they thought these guys could end up with.
Okay.
And it concerned me when I'm looking and going, well, Trey Hendrickson, well, it'd be a perfect fit for the Commanders.
Right.
Perfect fit for the Rams to make the deal, and they have the assets.
Oh, they did say Rams?
Rams.
Because that was the team.
That was yours yesterday on post-show headlines.
So, John, on post-show headlines, check us out on YouTube after every show. So, obviously, we're live on YouTube right now, but after the show, we do a segment called post-show headlines, which we eventually post. And John asked me what was the team I'd be most scared of if Trey Hendrickson went to them. And I said the Rams because they are such a cheap defense, a young defense that is good. Clearly, they made it to the playoffs. Jared Verse wins Defensive Rookie of the Year. Could you imagine if they paid some money for a defensive player like Trey Hendrickson? You have Jared Verse on one side and Hendrickson on the other. That would scare the hell out of me.
And I said Commanders. The Commanders were mine, that I don't want to see him be a Commander. And then they were talking about Jair Alexander, and they're like, okay, could he end up a Cowboy? Could he end up and I'm like, Cowboy, I'm not concerned. Could he end up a Lion?
Yep.
Could he end up a thing? And they're talking about these teams, and I'm going, okay, is there a move that Howie would Howie ever be the GM? Or if you guys were GMs, would you ever be tempted to make a deal just to block somebody else from getting a player?
Not if it's I don't
a player
need
that
it,
fits for you. No,
but I need. Right, exactly.
They need both of these guys,
right,
on paper.
Correct.
But would you ever be tempted to go, I don't really want to spend that money right now, but you know what? I don't want to see the Commanders get him.
Yes, I would. Again, when we talked about this yesterday, like I said, Jair Alexander, that was my answer because I wanted I just don't know anything about Keely Ringo to say they're fine. They're fine with Keely Ringo, first-time starter, and then rookie safety Andrew Makuba, right? Like I'm not totally comfortable with that, so I'd rather have that outside corner that has had success in this league. I understand the injury concerns. So for a player like that, like if it's between the Eagles and let's say the Lions, to your point, a team that we're expecting to still be very good, we'll just see how smooth they are with two new an offensive and a defensive coordinator. Yeah, I would probably spend a little bit more to try. It's a bidding war, right? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, but in a vacuum, yes. If you're the Eagles GM, no. Because your team, you're not really lacking all that much. I know we need edge. I know we need corner. But You're the defending Super Bowl champions who brought back a lot of their roster from last year, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Like, that's a scared move to me a little bit, to, like, block somebody else. I don't think you need to do that and potentially put yourself in a bad
but
spot.
it's not just scared move, but it's also improving your team.
Is scared proactive? Would one man's scared be one man's proactive?
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about Paul Skeens.
Yes, if you're a middle-of-the-road team, but the Eagles are not. So that's why I would not do that. I don't think the Commanders are Trey Hendrickson away from beating the Eagles.
This goes right back to the Phillies discussion from last year for me. I don't care how good you are, you can always get better.
No, I'm not saying
this Eagles team can get better, and if it also keeps one of your rivals that will be in contention, right? Like the two teams we mentioned, one team you beat in the NFC Championship game, the other team you barely beat in the divisional round if some things don't go the Eagles' way. And if that team that you barely beat in the divisional round of the playoffs all of a sudden gets better.
I think people are forgetting
that Tyler Higbee slipped and that Jalen Carter made a great play.
The Rams the Rams game and they're talking about the Rams game and the Packers game. They forget those games because of the Commodes game and the Chiefs game.
Yeah, where they beat the doors off those teams. Those other two are close.
Totally fair.
They could have gone either way.
Right.
It was a 6-point game in the Packer game with 7 minutes to go.
Yeah. I'm just saying, in principle, I don't think Howie Roseman, the GM of the defending Super Bowl champions who have gone to 2 and 3 years, thinks that way.
Right.
And I don't think he should.
Right. He probably just thinks, is this going to improve my team?
Exactly.
And the beauty of this would be it improves your team and keeps them from going to one of your rivals.
Sure.
It does look like it's a team in the NFC where these guys would go to. If Jair Alexander's a free agent, he can go wherever he wants. And if he wants to stick it to the Packers, then NFC. Trey Hendrickson, if he's getting traded, odds are the Bengals probably want to trade him out of conference.
I'm telling you, Commanders would bother me.
Yeah, be scared.
And I'm being honest, because I don't think that they are, and I don't think they're a team with a big young window. But I think they are a team that concerns me.
It's strike when the iron's hot, and maybe the iron's a little warm right now.
Sure, absolutely.
All right, coming up next, we'll check some of our text messages on our topics. If you want to climb in on that as well, about whether or not the Eagles should sign or trade for Jair Alexander or Trey Hendrickson.
Or whether you would, if you were a GM.
So that you wouldn't allow another team to get them, feel free at 610-632-0975. Now also, this guy keeps on getting away with something because he refuses to do local radio shows and sticks with the friendly confines of his NBC studios. The latest Jalen Hurts nonsense next here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Phils snapped the losing streak. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies, well, they're not on the losing streak anymore. That 5-game stretch came to an end last night with a walk-off win over the Cubs. Brandon Marsh had the winning hit in the bottom of the 11th. He talked after the game about the rough stretch the Phils have been in lately.
Every team goes through rough patches, that we're going through. But, the good teams find a way to get out of it, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep showing up every day and just giving our all.
So maybe that gives them some momentum. The walk-off win last night. Otto Kemp also 3 hits, including his first major league hit. So good night for the Rook. Zach Wheeler threw a strong 6 innings, his first start back from paternity leave, including his 1,000th strikeout as a Philly. The Phils, well, they're trying to make it 2 straight tonight. Yes, it is possible. They can win multiple games in a row. They turn to Mick Abel, facing off against Colin Ray in the pitching match at first pitch, 6:45. The Eagles begin mandatory minicamp today. Head coach Nick Sirianni will meet with the media at 2:10. And in hockey, the Florida Panthers took down the Oilers last night, 6-1 blowout win in Game 3 of that series. It's 2-1 Florida in the Stanley Cup Finals. Jeff McClain of the Inquirer will join us coming up at 8:25. Amy Fadul will join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update is brought to you by the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety. We all play a role in keeping roads safe. Watch for pedestrians, give 4 feet when passing, and slow down. Let's look out for each other. Safety is shared, brought to you by the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety. I'm Connor Thomas on the home of the NBA Finals in Philadelphia, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Philadelphia Sports.
Touchdown!
97.5 The Fanatic. Last couple segments, we spent some time talking Eagles, but start off the show talking about the Phillies after their extra inning victory over the Cubs yesterday, as ugly as it was. And boy, was it ugly. Errors, poor base running, double plays after double play after double play with bases loaded or runners in scoring position and not really being able to come through. But they won the ball game 4-3. And what we've talked about a little bit today has been the life that we saw after the game. Brandon Marsh with the game-winning hit, the team running out there, splashing the water bottles on them. And then Otto Kemp was the one that got interviewed after going 3 for 5 yesterday.
Well-deserved first hits.
Yep.
I mean, it was a big moment for him.
And they dumped the bucket on him, which we have not seen once this season. Forget the seeds and the bubble gum and all the cups and whatnot. We've not seen like a celebration from this Phillies team all season long. And I couldn't believe that I was asking the question, but when you play 162 games, you have to have some fun. You have to have some energy. And I was wondering, is that something that they went away from too far, right? And then it kind of got into a conversation about cultures and backgrounds and how this team, this Phillies team, as you said, Johnny, is very country club-esque.
Yeah, I mean, look, is that the kids who, and it's funny, we just had Jeff, when you weren't with us, Connor, we had Jeff Francoeur on again, and Jeff will talk about he has a whole podcast, and his entire podcast is about bringing on professional athletes from all different walks of life.
Yes.
So NFL, college basketball, pro football, that teaching parents that you're overdoing it on youth sports.
Yeah.
Your kid doesn't need a private batting coach at 8 years old. Your kid doesn't need to be playing 140 baseball games a year when they're 10. Your kid needs to play basketball and football and baseball and be an athlete and get out there and have fun and be a kid. And Jeff has made this like a life goal and a foundation and everything. And they bring on athletes to tell their stories and go, yeah, I got to the NFL. I lettered in 3 sports in high school.
Yeah.
I didn't focus on baseball when I was 10. I didn't do these things. So a lot of these Phillies players were sort of more country clubbish. More. They raised a little more. It's a little different,
and they
different background.
And
when
maybe
you're
they
from
need
that,
some life.
When you see players, I saw players. I'll give 2 examples. I watched Ronald Acuna and Ozzie Albies come to Major League Baseball, and I watched, and I'll say it, I watched white people that look like me say, "How stupid of them to sign extensions so early!
Right?
They wasted money. Why are they doing that?" You know why they did that? Because they were able to go, wow. Before endorsements, I'm going to guarantee myself like $60, $80, $100 million, $120 million. And in my country, if I get $5 million, I can guarantee that I'm taking care of my entire family almost forever.
Yeah.
And that's why they did it. And I heard stories about relatives who literally have dirt floors their entire lives, who never had air conditioning, who never lived in a safe environment, who now live behind a wall. Their houses now have walls, not fences, walls to keep gangs out.
Right.
And they're able, by signing a contract, the things, and you hear from players, and I've heard players talk about experiences where, I got my signing bonus. A player talked to me once about, I got a signing bonus and I built a compound. And I moved like 26 family members in.
Right.
And they're the hero. And that's a beautiful thing. I can't relate to that.
No, you can't. Right.
I can't relate to that.
Right.
We all can't relate to that.
Absolutely.
It's a different world.
And so
in locker rooms, there's segments. There is usually, in most locker rooms, there is a Latin quarter, a Latin segment, where a lot of the Latin players hang out, converse.
They feel comfortable. They speak their own language.
Exactly. And sometimes there are factions within clubhouses. And that's okay, as long as the clubhouse is all getting along and everything like that. But players sometimes don't relate.
Yeah.
They don't relate to each other's backgrounds.
But this team just seems very corporate. And,
yes.
And it's funny, we brought this up in our 6:15 segment, which is like 5 minutes long, right? Thinking like, let's just throw this out there. And then we get the flood of texts. We get the flood of tweets. Our YouTube community was chiming in on it. So I do want to spend some more time on this. I don't want this to go away. We will talk about Chris Sims in a minute, but what do we got on the text line here, Connor? You can text the show at 610-632-0975. Do you believe there's certain things lacking with this Phillies team when it comes to the energy and fun and spunk of this ball club?
Yeah, we have people checking in on that. John V says, I agree with you guys. Have some fun because it's a damn game at the end of the day. Throw some water, jump up and down if you win. Just like life, the players need to enjoy the highs and learn from the lows.
Yeah, and like, again, I'm not saying celebrate every single night, but like a moment like last night, they got to live it up a little bit.
There were players who rolled their There were players around the Phillies who rolled their eyes at the constant
dumping
water, seed baths for every single win. That were like, okay, it's fun. It's okay. Big wins, walk-offs and everything. But every single night, a little too much.
Right.
Act like we've been there. Let's do that.
And that's why Bryce Harper came out right away to start the season. Hey, they're not the daycare anymore. And then remember Bryson Stott was like, yeah, we're not allowed to have fun anymore.
Yeah, and
but
then
maybe that went too far.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't. See, I don't. I think it's the idea is that, guys, let's start to, it's fun to clown around. It's fun to have a good time, and we can still have a good time at the big events. But we crapped the bed the last 2 off seasons. We literally crapped the bed. Let's take a professional approach. It's time to be big boys. It's time to get after it.
Yeah, but big boys doesn't really matter as much in May and early June. That's the thing. If you're trying to win the World Series in the first week of June, that's going to weigh on guys when you go about it the whole year long.
So with Jalen Hurts.
So it's just like I feel.
Remember how miserable was Jalen Hurts 2 years ago?
Yeah, he was not having fun because he was so focused on we've got to win the Super Bowl.
I thought Jalen was last year. I got to tell you, I was around the team last year.
Right, no, but I'm basically.
I think Jalen.
Remember, the reports were that I still remember Tim McManus wrote the article where I'm paraphrasing a bit, where he said it felt like every day somebody was walking around like their dog died.
I'm gonna tell you though, Jalen Hurts, like observing Jalen Hurts last year, didn't seem much different than observing Jalen Hurts. I didn't see him much in 23 because I was ill. But I didn't think it seemed like there was much difference.
Well, he may not be a good case study.
But then again, clearly it did play a factor where there was the Jay Glazer report that they knocked on his door during the bye week.
You mean the one they all denied, which we know was true?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Jay Glazer does not go and create that story and lie about it.
Speaking of Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Chris Sims is at it again, Johnny.
Yeah, Booney and I were going back and forth on this a little bit yesterday.
Chris Sims is dropping his quarterback ranking list.
You know why? It's June.
I know you're sitting on the edge of your seat because today he drops 4, 3, 2, and 1. And
so Hurts will be in there.
Wrong.
Already was on.
I imagine the top 4 will be Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, and Burrow, right? And I feel like a lot of people say that. So Jalen Hurts, not in the top 4. Not at number 5. Not at 6.
Now,
not at 7.
By the way, him not being in the top 4 of Chris Sims' list,
I don't have a problem with it. I say it all the time.
That's okay.
I say it all the time. Doesn't mean he's not more of a winner.
No, I'm
but
okay.
in terms of the overall talent,
I'm okay.
I am fine with him not being ahead of those 4 guys.
I'm not ripping Chris Sims for that.
That's why I didn't rip Darius Slay for what he had to say. The problem was Darius Slay was still a member of the Philadelphia Eagles, and you shouldn't be doing that. Jaden Daniels comes in at number 5.
Interesting.
Matthew Stafford.
That's really interesting.
Matthew Stafford comes in at 6. C.J. Stroud at 7.
So freaking unbelievable.
Herbert at 8.
That's unbelievable.
The obsession with those 2 guys drives me nuts, dude. And then Baker Mayfield comes in at 9. Jalen Hurts at 10.
That's so unbelievable to me.
And he's going to say, I know what's going to happen. People think I have an agenda against Jalen Hurts. Yeah, dude. We do.
Does.
You
he
have
does.
C.J. Stroud and Justin Herbert in front of him. Of course we have we believe you have an agenda.
Dude, his agenda, and I tried to explain it to Booney yesterday and during Unfiltered. It's not an agenda against Jalen Hurts, dudes. I'll pull the curtain back again. I say it over and over again with Chris Sims. People got to figure it out. It's not an agenda against it. It's an agenda to get all of you to take the cheese,
which he's doing,
and
great.
to talk about him, to get the clicks, to get the attention. That is his agenda. He doesn't have an agenda against Jalen Hurts. He has a undying desire to get your attention. That's what it is.
He's a paid troll.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
but you know what though? It works.
But here's the deal.
And people
but then
feed
he won't
the beast.
come on here, and it's cowardly.
I understand because
we saw him in New Orleans.
I understand.
He doesn't have an argument.
He doesn't.
That's why he won't come on.
And that's the thing that's why I literally won't take the cheese. I can't.
Do you know where Hurts was ranked last year in the 2024 quarterback
14?
rankings? No, he was 9. He went back
a spot?
He went back a spot, winning the Super Bowl.
To me,
there's no basis to it.
I can't take it, and more importantly, and Booney goes, well, 2 things can be true. He doesn't have a bias against Jalen Hurts.
Maybe he does. We don't know.
No, his bias is he wants to get the attention and the clicks, and when then people give it to him, and then they do shows about it and everything, so then he's loving it, and he loves the attention.
Oh, he sure does.
He loves
That's why
the
he
attention.
keeps doing it.
Yep.
All right, coming up next, we'll get more on our Phillies pizzazz conversation.
That's funny.
You can climb in at 610-632-0975. Also, Johnny, you want to try to put a good perspective out there for Phillies fans.
I'm gonna give you something to make you feel better today about the Phillies, and I think it works. I
appreciate that. You'll hear that next year on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ricky Bo, Bill Colarulo.
I have not been.
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Talking a lot about the Phillies so far this morning after finally getting a win yesterday. They lost 9 of their last 10. They get a win yesterday. It wasn't pretty by any means, but they got the win. And then it started going into a conversation about fun and how little fun this team seems to be having. Obviously, losing weighs on you, but I don't know. I said it earlier in the show. Name me the time this season where you're like, man, that was great. Other than them winning games.
No, this feels like 2022.
Where we're just we're watching, and they're winning at times, which is great. Like, is anybody sort of vibing with this? And I know the term vibe has gone far in this city.
We've had aura mentioned a couple times on the text line.
Okay, is there any aura on this team? Like, I don't get that sense. Like, Edmundo Sosa, I'm trying to think of the highlight reel plays.
No, this honestly, what would be the highlight reel plays? Phillies turning a double play cleanly, which they can rarely do.
Yeah.
They rarely can turn a double play. They're so poor defensively.
Like, Marshawn had the big caught stealing a week or two ago. I think it was against the Braves.
JT had one of those games earlier in the year.
Yeah.
I guess Mick Abel's first start against Ski was pretty dope.
That
was a fun day.
It's a right now it hasn't been as enjoyable. But I don't think that anything is ever as enjoyable when the expectations are as high, coming off of 2 really, really kicking the privates
season ends. Yeah. That's a fair point. And maybe it's weighing on them.
And I think it weighs on them, and I think it weighs on us.
Yeah.
I think it weighs on us as far as expectations, because you do have the people, whether they say it or not, or whether they believe it or not, that have the wake me when it's October.
Right. They
don't necessarily. They still love the team, and they still want to watch the team and everything like that. But you get that wake me when it's over.
Or maybe it's, instead of saying wake me when it's over, it's I'm not going to have too much fun watching the regular season. I'll wait to put my energy into the playoffs or something. And I get that because last year was a lot of fun until the playoffs.
Kevin sends along a tweet and says, I feel I'm part of the problem.
What do you mean?
I'm going to explain what Kevin says. He goes, I'm part of the problem. I feel like I'm still on a post-Birds hangover. Now, I don't understand that as a fan. He feels like he's still on a post-Birds hangover.
Well, we had this conversation a couple months ago about the entities and how because it was the Sixers. That's what it was. Remember the Sixers this is when everything was going to, it was going to crap. And there were people chiming in going, well, it's okay. The Eagles won the Super Bowl. I can party all night long celebrating the Eagles Super Bowl and the next day boo the Sixers when they're having a bad game. I don't have that. They're separate entities. They play for Philly. They're all Philadelphia teams. But I can celebrate an Eagles Super Bowl and be pissed off about a Sixers loss the next.
There's some people that don't care though. But I do think that there is there's an energy. I do find that there is an energy that's expounded that you put out there that sort of goes, okay, now get charged up again. Get charged up again, because regular season baseball isn't the same as the roller coaster we went through.
That's fair, yeah.
And maybe that's part of it.
Like a 5-game winning streak in April is nothing to the same level of high that you feel when the Eagles are winning the Super Bowl.
Correct.
So that's a fair point. All right, what do we got on the text line before John tries to put some things in perspective here for Phillies fans?
All right, so we have somebody who's very much like you, Andrew, who says, I so wanted Jazz Chisholm last year at the trade deadline for this exact conversation, just for a spark for the team that I feel like they've been missing.
Yeah, I mean, not only did I want him because I thought he was better than both Johan Rojas and Brandon Marsh, but there is flair. Like, he's got a lot of flair to his game. Look, is this all about flair? No, it's not. But when you're going over the course of 162 games and you're clocking in, clocking out, you win. You almost see the same reaction to a win as to a loss with this baseball team. Like your Rob Thompson, Sleepy Rob thing. Like, the thing about Rob Thompson is you're upset when he has that. We're going to go get him next time after a loss.
No, you mean
but after
any night,
right? But after a win, it's not like he's going. Now that's what I'm talking about.
No, but what I do want is what I'm more bothered by is just the lack of accountability.
Yeah, I got you.
It's okay. I've heard tons of managers who are players' managers who will not bullcrap us and will tell us when players play poorly or players do things that are unacceptable. We'll call them out about it, and we'll call them out publicly about it. And they don't ridicule the player.
No.
They don't have to, but they can still say, what I saw tonight, that's not acceptable, and we're not going to have that.
All right, can you put some positive perspective out there for the Phillies fans?
I'm going to give everybody something positive.
I feel like you're speaking my language here.
I want you to go back in time, everybody, 1 year, just 1 year. Turn back the clock. The Phillies blew the lead in the second game in London. In fact, many of you came back from London today.
Oh, wow. How about
on a
that?
plane.
Yeah.
The Mets had won the second game of the series in London. Do you know what the Mets' record was, Connor, when they came back from London?
I don't.
28-36.
Wow. Whew.
And you know what the date was? Well, it was 1 day later than yesterday. So they were 28-36 yesterday, a year ago. 8 games under 500. I'm just trying to give everybody a little bit of perspective, and maybe, in and of myself, a little bit of perspective too. That nothing that was going on the second week of June ended up mattering a damn the second week in October. The Mets came back from London, got off the plane, 28-36, 8 games under 500. And not one of us could have ever seen the Mets BTAing the Phillies.
Yeah.
So embarrassingly in that playoff series at that time. So bottom line to me is this. The Phillies are 10 games over 500 today. Not 8 games under. There's plenty of time to turn things around.
Yeah.
Plenty of time to get things right. And I would tell you that the Phillies starting pitching considerably better than that Mets team.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't
it's
panic over the 4-game losing streak, as bad as it was.
The Mets were 8 games under 500 last year this time.
I'll give you another example.
Oh, I have.
That make you feel a little better?
Yeah, it did.
I'll go back to 2019. May the 23rd. The Washington Nationals had a record of 19-31, which was tied for the worst in Major League Baseball. You know what they did that year?
They won the World Series.
That's the way outlier.
Way outlier.
Way outlier.
Well,
but it's happened.
June 3rd, 2022 was the hiring date of Rob Thompson as interim manager, the promotion date. Mm-hmm. We're 7 days past that when they canned Girardi, and they completely turned that around. They go to the World Series.
Now, but then again, to that point, somebody will say, yeah.
So cancel, buddy.
It took a
that team
firing.
Was bad at that point. This team is 10 games over. There's a lot of time left. John, your point is absolutely correct.
I just think that it's a perspective thing because we try to balance the venom with the facts.
Absolutely. All right, coming up next, we'll check some more of our text messages. We'll reset today's topic. Also, something happened yesterday for a Phillies player. First time in their career, first time in their life. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A big night for the Rook. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies snapped their 5-game losing streak last night with a walk-off win over the Cubs. Brandon Marsh had the winning hit in the bottom of the 11th. We'll hear from him in a second. But Otto Kemp, 3 hits in the game. He hadn't had a hit at the major league level to that point. So a big night for him in some big spots. And Brandon Marsh talked after the game about the rough stretch the team's been in and how they could potentially come out of it.
Every team goes through rough patches, that we're going through. But, the good teams find a way to get out of it. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep showing up every day and just giving our all.
On top of breaking the losing streak, Zach Wheeler also threw a strong 6 innings in his first start back from paternity leave, including his 1,000th strikeout as a Philly. The Phils will try to make it a winning streak, 2 straight tonight if they can win. Mick Abel goes to the mound, facing off against Colin Ray at 6:45 p.m. first pitch. The Eagles begin mandatory minicamp today. Head coach Nick Sirianni meets with media at 2:10. The Florida Panthers beat the Edmonton Oilers 6-1 last night, a BTA, if you say in this city, to take a 2-1 lead in the Stanley Cup Finals. Jeff McClain of the Inquirer joins us coming up at 8:25. Amy Fadul will join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update's brought to you by Bradford White Water Heaters. When you need a new water heater, choose one that's built to be the best. Choose Bradford White. I'm Connor Thomas on the home of the NBA Finals in Philadelphia, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
We'll get back to our discussion of pizzazz and flair with this Phillies team and how they lack a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of life.
Seasoning.
But it was nice to see them celebrate a win yesterday. And did you know, Brandon Marsh spoke after the game. That was his first ever game-winning hit, not just in Major League Baseball, in his life.
What?
Yeah. Imagine going through Little League to the travel ball, high school, college.
Buford High School.
The minor league system, low A, high A, double A, triple A, major leagues. And he's been in the big leagues for 7 years now? Something like that? 6 years?
Well, the big hits are few and far between at the pro level. Just going to say.
Yes. But it's kind of amazing that he has never had a game-winning hit in his life, considering I'm sure he's been playing baseball for a very, very long time.
Yeah,
Congratulations to Brandon Marsh. He deserves a round of applause after last night.
He does. That's great. His high school, by the way, the Philip Beard Stadium is being opened out in things. So my accountant used to be right next to his high school.
Okay.
My accountant's son used to be the quarterback at his high school.
Okay.
And they're going to debut their new $62 million
God.
high school football stadium at Brandon Marsh's high school.
Huh. They must be pretty good.
They are.
That's
but
nuts.
It is a $62 million high school football
stadium. Is that donation or is that?
It is donation.
Okay.
There is some public money because of it but the school, literally Buford, seceded from Atlanta, so it wouldn't have to deal with the public school rules of Atlanta, and became its own city.
Oh, wow.
So Buford is its own city. My city did the same thing.
How about that?
Johns Creek literally said, no, we're not going to do that. We were our own city.
They named it after you?
So, no, it was Johns Creek, yeah. I didn't see the creek.
I know you were there for a long time. I didn't realize they named the town after
you. They literally, so they made their own rules. Like the kids, his high school has uniforms, public school uniforms and stuff like that. And but a $62 million high school football stadium.
Nice. Yeah.
With a jumbotron that would make you cry.
Can you send a little bit my way, the Buford family, please?
Please do.
Now, Buford's the name of the town.
Oh, yeah, who knows? It's probably named off of somebody, just like Johns Creek. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. The Phillies had fun last night after winning the ball game, and it made me realize that it's been lacking all season long, that sort of energy, that sort of fun. No, I'm not saying call up Garrett Stubbs. No, I'm not saying play dancing on my own, right?
Well, you better not do that because that's it.
Don't do that. What I'm saying is just like they got to stop going to just work. Like you got to have fun in their life. And it's funny, we talked about this back in the 6 o'clock hour, and a lot of people have been chiming in on this conversation, whether it's the lack of flair from the players themselves, whether it's the lack of energy, as we've talked about a lot with the manager. Larry wants to talk about Rob Thompson. Larry, you're on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Good morning. Let's start off on the top of the 11th, where a real manager will walk.
Larry, talk to us on your phone.
Get closer to the phone, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Not really.
No, we can't. I'll put you on hold for a second, and we'll got to put your window up or something.
See, I don't know how to put them on hold, so just call back.
You just hit the button again, but
do I?
Yeah,
well,
I'll teach
I've never
you.
done this.
I'll teach
you. Teach me a thing or two there, Mr. Producer.
He's flying a crop duster.
Mr. Afternoon.
It's like he's on a crop dusting plane.
He could have been.
He could have been. Hey, we need those. We need those crop dusters.
Your phone's a radio.
All right, what do we got on the text line? Hopefully, we can hear from Larry back because he wanted to talk about Rob Thompson. But what are the people saying about the conversation about the flair and pizzazz with this baseball team that's clearly lacking?
So we have people talking about. I know we're not doing this, but Dante from Delco says it's time to bring back Garrett Stubbs and bring back dancing on my own.
Oh my God, really?
Stop
right
it.
After I say that, we have that text.
Stop it.
Don't go too far with this, guys.
Yeah, we don't have to do that. I'm just saying, like, have fun again. And it sounds so weird to be saying that about adults, but like, it is a kid's game, right? Like, and yes, there is decorum that they have to have, and like, it can't just be celebrating every single. But if there's a big hit, like, enjoy it. Like, it just feels like all season long, it's been a boring season despite them having a record where they're 10 games over 500. And I think this losing streak that they went on maybe highlighted some of the issues a little bit more other than just talent. Like, we know the lack of a right-handed power bat's an issue. We know that the back end of the starting the lineup is an issue. We know the aging players is an issue. But I also think losing 9 of 10 sort of also highlights, all right, something's got to change here, whether it's messaging, to your point, John, or whether it's just, I know questions about team meetings were happening. Is there any fight with this ball club? Or is there any fun with this ball club? I'm serious. I don't see it.
Well, I think, too, is, and me messaging, inmates running the asylum.
Mm-hmm.
Players making decisions for themselves. I don't like the whole Bryce Harper thing with his elbow was terribly handled. You played shorthanded for a week, which, by the way, no team in Major League Baseball did this year. Like you, and that's part of this losing streak. You literally let a player just go, "Yeah, I might be back tomorrow." No, don't put me on the IL. I could be back in 2 days. Don't put me on the IL. And then, oh, by the way, I got to go on the IL because of this wrist problem that I've been having since May a year ago. I mean, they let players call the shots. And when people joke about GM Bryce Harper, it's not a joke. They literally are taking orders from a player, literally letting him call the shots.
Right.
It's not, and to the detriment of the team, playing short for a week. And that costs you. It absolutely costs you.
All right, what else we got on the text line? It's 610-632-0975.
So I just need to put this one out here because I can't live knowing that someone has this thought process. We talked about Dave Dombrowski earlier.
Okay.
And this texter says, as much heat as Dombrowski is getting right now with the Phillies, we have to look at the current Tigers, who are the best team in baseball. He built that team. I trust that he knows what he's doing with this Phillies team.
Look, and we have celebrated the fact that for the first time in a long time, you actually have a farm system. Like, this farm system, the cupboard was bare.
But, dude, do you know the last year he worked for the Tigers?
He didn't build
2015.
He didn't build the Tigers team that's competing today.
No, not even close.
What are they talking about?
Dombrowski is good. He did not build this current Tigers.
I was just pulling it up. I'm like, no, he didn't.
I had to double check myself. I'm like, okay, pay attention to the years, folks.
No, he did not.
The point that the Phillies farm system is actually alive for the first time in a long time is still true. But you can also use those pieces in your farm system to make your team now better, either by trading them or by calling someone up.
Wow.
Like, and that's the thing with the Cubs team. Like, they have some young players that are exciting. Who's the exciting young player on the Phillies right now? There is none.
No, I'm asking you.
There is no exciting young player on the Phillies.
I thought you had an answer. I was very excited to hear it.
It's the same guys. That's why running it back 3 years in a row is maybe not the best idea.
Otto Kemp, 3 for 5.
Yeah. It happened yesterday, finally.
Does Otto Kemp look like a 4A player to you?
I don't know yet.
No. Does he look to you? Gut instinct. I know you don't know yet.
Probably because he had a really big season in the minor leagues this year at the age of 25. Yeah, probably.
He looks like a 4A player.
But I'm going to see it play out first before I,
Right. No, I understand that. No, I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, I got you.
Not asking you to make the judgment on it.
I mean,
what does he look like to you?
Mick Abel looks like a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, exactly. We got Larry back. Larry, what's up, man? Thanks for clearing up the line.
Hey,
what's up, buddy?
Good morning. Real quick. The real coach, top of the 11th, walks Crow Armstrong. Walks Schwarber. Our coach pitches to Crow Armstrong. Hits the go-ahead double. That's bad coaching. Now, real quick, the press conference. You guys catch that where he actually talked about a coach who coaches bunting? Besides yesterday, when is the last time they bunted?
Well, Johan Rojas, when he was playing consistently, was bunting.
Yeah, when they let Johan Rojas
play. The problem
play.
is Brandon Marsh came back, and Dave Dombrowski has to force feed him in the lineup because of the trade with O'Hoppe.
Has Stott ever bunted before? I know his on-base percentage is below my weight.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Does he ever bunt?
I don't remember really seeing Bryson Stott bunt all that much. They did do a good job yesterday. That JT bunt was art.
That was art. Yeah, I mean,
so was the rookies.
They don't play. No, small ball is not the Phillies game. They don't play.
Right. Well, once in a while, when you need to do something, you need to change something.
Oh, I agree with you. No, I've been saying it forever. But I've gotten tired of saying it because they just won't do this. They won't do it.
Yeah, well, I do believe Copper makes too many mistakes. He had Marsh in left field, and he had him over in right field, and he missed the ball. I don't understand what he's doing.
Yeah, I can't. If you figure out Topper, please leave a manual for me.
Appreciate it. I saw a tweet from Bob Wankel. I like Bob's work.
I like
covering
Bob
the Phillies.
too. Yeah.
He put out this tweet after the Alec Boehm double play yesterday. Anytime you can have a guy who beats the ball into the ground all the time, not bunt, to instead beat the ball into the ground predictably, you got to do it. At least he didn't throw his helmet this time or whatever. Which he then ended up doing it later in the game.
Yeah, the temper tantrum. And by the way, I know, Connor, you said I don't have a big problem with it last night. I know for a fact the Phillies have a problem with it. And they've spoken to him about it, and his teammates had a problem with him doing that crap last year.
That's why he got benched in a playoff game.
So
and yet
he's back. It's back. Like,
right.
I just don't do it. It's not like, well, he could do it that time. It was okay. Because that's all on him.
No, it is.
That's
all
on him. They don't like it.
They're just not all created equal. I'm not saying I want to see him do it, but that wasn't like egregiously bad to me because it was a bad spot in that game. I imagine was frustrating. My other thing is, it's not so much. I can't put that on Rob Thompson fully than not having Alec Boehm bunt. He's batting in the 3-hole. Like, he shouldn't be your 3-hole hitter, but he's got to be. And I know situationally it's easy to say, hey, he should have bunted here. But it's tough to tell the guy that you have in that part of your lineup to do that.
I just can't sit here expecting Alec Boehm to
No, you shouldn't
drive the ball.
I'm going to tell you that in defense of Topper, I don't know that there are many 3-hole hitters that you ever will see that are asked to bunt.
Right.
Yeah, and he's not a 3-hole hitter.
No, I
which is
understand.
the argument.
I understand.
Yeah,
but he is. Whether he is or not, he is. I very rarely. I can't imagine that you ever see that hardly.
Saw this tweet just now from Jeff Curry. Put it out yesterday at 9:40. So the Phillies ended up winning this game and had some nice hits in the extras.
Okay.
But at the time of the tweet, the Phillies were batting 181 in the month of June, so 9 days in, which was dead last in Major League Baseball. With this payroll, my man.
It's terrible.
But they got the win yesterday, Johnny.
They did.
Finally. All right, coming up next, we have today's headlines with Mr. Connor Thomas here on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We want to hear from you. Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Check out the deal of the week. It's a great one. You can get the 80 Steel Pier ride tickets for just $42.50. That's half price. Take advantage of huge summer savings for the Steel Pier, the Atlantic City's Boardwalk's premier amusement destination. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals. And around this time yesterday was when I found out that there was a diving horse.
Used to be.
That got shut down in 1978.
And by the way, the diving horse then was showing up on my social media.
Of course, because the computer and phones are always listening.
Talking about it.
It's amazing.
The diving horse.
Real quick before we get to headlines, a couple of our YouTube comments. I saw MBD, but multiple people in agreement that they would want to bring back Stubbs. Now, here's the reason. It's not just because of the vibes. They like him better than Marchand. Now, I do believe Rafael Marchand is the much better defensive catcher than Stubbs.
He's much better.
And if I'm asking for one game a week, I just want there to be a good backstop there, and that's who Marchand is.
Or if you're in the game, you also want to know you're getting a good. If for some reason you lose Realmuto during a game, you don't want to lose defense behind the plate.
Right. Now, I think what they're trying to figure out is the balance of, hey, it's only one game a week, but he does bring a vibe to the clubhouse a little bit. At least we think.
They also know the Phillies know that he's not a major league player.
Yes, that's why he's not with the big league club this year. Yes.
That's it. This answer's already out there. They know he's not a major league player.
He's also out of options, John.
For God's sakes.
All right. It is time now for today's headlines with Mr. Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Brought to us by who?
Our friends over at Lundy Law. Yeah, they're the best. And for over 70 years, Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name Lundy Law, your injury lawyers. Visit LundyLaw.com. That's LundyLaw.com. Andrew Salciunas.
Hello.
You've got a job to do.
I do it every day.
No, a different job.
Okay.
If Temple football is going to be successful, you have nobody to point to but yourself, one way or another, on the outcome.
And how's that, Connor?
What's going on? Why is he to blame?
Because EA Sports is doing something special. They're going to pay schools featured in EA College Football 2026 based on how often those teams are used in the gameplay. So if you play as your favorite school more, they will get more money. Now, I imagine it's a very, very minimal amount based on the play.
I think the largest amount of money that a school can get was $50,000, which, hey, if you're trying to acquire a player with NIL and maybe you're a little light on cash, that would go a long way. Now, here's the problem. I could probably play as Temple 100 times, but then there will be 1,000 people that will play as Notre Dame 100 times. And that's because they're a more popular school.
Well, we'll cut Brendan Gunn's thumbs off.
Alabama will make a lot of money. Georgia will make a lot of money. The teams that have the biggest followings will make more money off of this.
No. That's an excuse. I need you to get on the sticks. No more sleeping. No more family. Make Temple great again.
I'm going to tell you. You need to do your part.
Are you saying it's up to me?
Yeah.
You're putting this pressure on me?
Do your part.
For Temple to finally recruit like a 1.5-star quarterback to
Liv
play
could
for
help.
him? That would be nice.
Liv could help. She plays that stuff too.
My Temple Owls. I love you.
I want you sitting on the couch, not like when you're not playing video games, thinking, damn, I could be helping Temple.
Well, how about I play during the show?
No.
Why not?
Don't need you doing that.
You just said I need to do my part.
Yeah,
I
don't
can
need
fire
to do
up
it during the
NCAA
show.
while doing the show.
Nice to see where your priorities lie.
Notice he says firing up.
What else we got?
All right. We also have a little update on the Stanley Cup Finals, where Florida took a 2-1 lead last night.
Not much of a game.
Takes a 2 games to 1 lead as the Reds put the ice in tradition here.
So I have a question, because this has been circulating on social media. A lot of people are calling this Florida Panthers team unlikable. Now, I got money on Edmonton, I'll be honest.
Oh, Brad Marchand's on that team,
and
so
I hate him.
That's number one. Like, if there's anybody that's unlikable, it's him.
Do you find it that way, though? Because some people are saying they're a fun team to watch.
This city would love the Florida Panthers. This city would erect statues for the Florida Panthers. They're the much more Philly team than Edmonton. Edmonton's like a bunch of... They're very soft. Soft as hell. I mean, come on. If any Philly fan is rooting for a team in this finals,
it would be the Panthers.
They should be rooting for the Panthers.
Because it fits our mold.
It fits us. Not fitting some Western Canada bunch of softies.
Now, what I didn't like was this game's over. Let me turn this off.
It was bad.
6-1.
Yeah.
It was
Is
bad.
the series over?
No.
Johnny?
No. Series is not over.
No, Edmonton's good.
No, but Edmonton's good. And
It's going to go
last
deep.
year they
This
showed.
series is going 6 or 7, just like last year went 7. I
Right.
can see it going 6 or 7 this year.
So NBA Finals over, Stanley Cup Finals not over.
Correct. Yes.
Moving on to...
I didn't say it's over. I didn't say NBA Finals are over.
Ooh.
Oh, really?
Spicy.
He said it's over.
Yeah,
we will
I didn't
keep
say
you
it's over.
updated on
I
that.
think it's going late. I think it's going back to Oklahoma City 2-2.
Ooh, I like that. Well, stay tuned, folks, for an update on that. But we've got something we talked about earlier on in the show as well.
And then all of a sudden, it seems like a lot of people have been thinking it, that the Phillies are just lacking a little pizzazz.
Yeah, they're a little pasty.
It's weird because you're absolutely right. I don't know the solution to this without forcing it, though. Because it's not like the players they have aren't talented when you look at the top part of the roster and they've spent money. It's just like, I don't know how you flip that.
They need to have fun playing baseball again. Like, that's what it is.
You know how you have fun? Play well and win. You don't need to fabricate
but even when
fun.
they were winning games this year, did you get a sense that this? Oh man, what a fun group of guys.
Fun is not dancing on my own.
I'm not saying it has to be dancing on my own.
But there are. But I have it all over my timeline. People listening here.
Oh, new
people
song
listening
you're saying?
to this, saying, "Well, you gotta have fun," and they're dancing on my own and stuff like that. And Stubbs, I'm like, it's not. It's not. That's not what it is. It's about playing well. Guys feeling good when they come to the ballpark. They feel good about themselves. They're not feeling good about themselves right now.
Look, what sucks is, again, I said it earlier, losing Jose Alvarado because of his own doing. He was one of the only guys that showed energy in a big spot, right?
Yes.
When you get the big strikeout, he started freaking out.
Yes.
The only other guy I think of is Strom, who does that occasionally, but Strom's giving up home runs and runs.
Terrible.
I think they need blow the whistle.
Yeah.
No,
you
we
know
don't
what?
need any
you know
of that.
What?
1-0.
Give Gilly.
No, we don't need Gilly the
Give him a
kid.
big helmet with the face shield.
Just like he
and
ruined.
just let him sit in the dugout.
Just like he ruined draft day for Shador. We don't need any more.
Oh, Shador fell because of Gilly?
No more mooching with.
Is that what it is?
No need to be globbing on to anything else.
All right, coming up next, our man Jeff McClain. Your vendetta against Gilly is unbelievable.
Gilly Duckhead.
Jeff McClain joins us coming up next. We got mandatory mini camps. We'll talk about it here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A much-needed Phils win. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies snapped their 5-game losing streak last night with a walk-off win over the Cubs. It wasn't pretty, but we'll take them at this point. Brandon Marsh had the winning hit in the bottom of the 11th. He talked after the game about the rough stretch the Phils have been on lately.
Every team goes through rough patches, that we're going through. But, the good teams find a way to get out of it, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep showing up every day and just giving our all.
Maybe it's a momentum builder. It's easy to build momentum when you get the pitching you did last night. Zach Wheeler threw 6 strong innings in his first start back from paternity leave. Also had his 1,000th strikeout as a Philly. Oh, and Otto Kemp, first career hit, 3 hits in the game. The Phillies try to make it 2 straight tonight as they turn to Mick Abel against Colin Ray, 6:45 p.m. for Game 2 against the Cubs. Phillies begin mandatory minicamp today. Head coach Nick Sirianni will meet with the media at 2:10. We're going to talk to Jeff McClain of the Inquirer coming up next about minicamp. Then the Panthers beat the Oilers 6-1 last night in the Stanley Cup Finals, take a 2-1 lead. We'll also have Amy Fadul join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update's brought to you by Hand & Stone. It's glow time, and you've earned it. Relax and renew it. Hand & Stone Massage and Facial Spa. Their facials deliver real results and soothing care. Now's the perfect time to start your Hand & Stone journey. Visit handandstone.com today. I'm Connor Thomas on the home of the NBA Finals in Philadelphia. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
The Fanatic on this Tuesday morning where it's still a little bit wet outside, but it's supposed to heat up as the day goes on. And then the next couple of days is supposed to be beautiful and sunny.
I heard really hot.
Yeah, I just sent out the who's in, who's out basketball text during the commercial break. One of my Damn you. One of my favorite days of the week or moments of the week.
Why are you out, Connor?
Yeah, why are you out, coward?
Because I had to pitch 9 damn innings for his men's league team, and I can't feel the right side of my body. Sorry, I'm a horse on the mound.
I think Connor needs the Nugenics.
Man, him and Coach Carter.
Connor needs a nice bath.
At home, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
All right, join us now, because he's probably going to hang up soon, on the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. My man does just such an incredible job covering the Eagles for the Inquirer, Inquirer.com. Experience the new look of Inquirer Sports, where fans can read, watch, and listen to their favorite reporters in calmness. That's our man, Jeff McClain. Jeff, good morning.
Hey, guys. Morning.
It is mandatory mini camp. We have one left before training camp, Jeff. And so I'll just ask you, what are you looking for here in mandatory mini camps?
Yeah, one and only. Used to be 3-day mini camp.
Sure.
But, they decided to have one. I mean, it's probably just going to be an extension of what we've seen from at least the 2 open practices that we had at OTAs. I can't imagine they're going to do anything any more intense. Yeah, I mean, I think that's just kind of, maybe they'll do a little more in team drills, maybe. I don't know. They'll still be practicing in shirts and shells, and so I wouldn't expect anything grandiose to happen at today's practice.
Is it like implementation of, the people getting comfortable with the playbook, people getting comfortable with schematic plans? I mean, what really goes on when we're talking about the second week of June?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's it, right? You have new players, whether drafted, free agency. Some of that will happen in the classroom. Some of that will happen on the field in terms of learning the playbook. Obviously, there's going to be new plays that are going to be installed. But really honestly, they're not doing much of that. It's going to be very vanilla in terms of what they're doing out there on the field. They don't really start getting into that stuff until training camp. And really, honestly, a lot of it doesn't even happen until after we're no longer around there in terms of what the offense is really going to look like, because they don't want to give too much away. But, obviously there's position battles. So, I mean, they're always evaluating, right? And this year, there's probably a little more than there have been in the last few years, especially on the defensive side of the ball. We don't know who the safety is going to be. We don't know who the cornerback's going to be. We don't know who one of the inside linebackers is going to be. That's all part of the process in terms of the Eagles when they're looking at who's going to end up winning those positions.
Could the cornerback be somebody that's not on the roster? Packers released Jair Alexander yesterday. Obviously, Eagles fans, ourselves included, start taking an eye on that. Any interest from the Eagles there, do you think, Jeff?
I mean, they have interest in anybody, right? Especially someone who's got a proven track record. So, I'm sure they'll look into it. But I imagine he's going to probably get some pretty good coin, even at this stage of his career. So, I don't know. They went and got Dory Jackson, and they have obviously Keely Ringo waiting kind of in the barn, someone that they've drafted and want to develop, and and that's kind of what a lot of this offseason has been about in terms of like why they didn't really go out and spend a lot of money in free agency, because they have guys that they've drafted. They're going to have to pay at some point, so I mean, probably more likely than not, but obviously you can't rule anything out.
When you think of that market, how much do you believe they've already said everything that they've done has been done to make sure Jalen Carter and others in the future are all open to be covered and they can get those things done?
Yeah, I mean that was Howie's explanation. I mean, and free agency when he spoke at the owners' meetings, they're gonna have to pay. Jalen Carter's gonna get probably the highest contract, maybe even for a defensive player ever, when he gets one, probably next offseason, depending upon obviously how this year goes. So, and Nolan Smith's going to have to get paid at some point. So they have guys that they have to dig deep into the bank for in the future, and that's been the explanation. And look, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised though to see Howie at some point make some sort of move coming here. The one position I think probably most likely needs to be addressed, and we haven't really talked about, is edge rusher. Jelix Hunt and Nolan are probably going to be the top two guys, and they really like them. And they went out and got, they spent a little bit on Aziz Ujulari and Josh Uche. But, I would say that the depth there is probably not as great as it has been in the past. Sort of, Josh Sweat left in free agency, Brandon Graham retired, and obviously they just traded Bryce Huff. I know Huff didn't give him much, but, that's a body, and that was someone that they hoped would have contributed more. So, look, I'm not ruling out Howie doing something. Maybe it's safety as well. Who knows? Obviously, there's a lot of guys competing for that spot as well. But cornerback, we'll see. We'll see how things play out. I think they want to see how these guys do that they brought in, and especially when training camp comes up in a couple months.
Speaking of safety and contracts and not spending money, really much big money this offseason, have you done any more digging on this Chauncey Gardner-Johnson situation? Vic Fangio, obviously, when he spoke last, was asked about the trade of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and he said it was all because of the contract. It was cap-related. He was fine with it. Then Chauncey Gardner-Johnson took to social media. He recently did a radio interview where he talked about how that's not true. So which side of the story do you sort of believe more here, Jeff?
It's a combination of things, and I think I've reported a little bit on this before. Look, Howie had to do what he felt was necessary when it came to, unloading. His salary was going up. It wasn't crazy for a starting safety of his caliber. So, I think the money was part of it. Another part of it is just, this is what Chauncey's 5th team in his last 5 years. I don't think he's a major problem, but he does require additional kind of work internally, just by his very nature. And I'm not saying, that's always a horrible thing, and he isn't the only player like that. But, there's a price sometimes you pay for those guys, and they deemed him not worthy of that. Now, as I reported back in late March, early April at the owners' meetings, this was a decision that, not everybody 100% was on board with in the building. They thought, that Chauncey obviously brought certain swagger to the team, but, some of it was also performance as well, right? If you look at what he did out there in the field, inside the red zone, numbers weren't always great. Open field tackling wasn't always great. And, while he did, interceptions, look, those are important plays. But some of them came when he wasn't playing within the scheme. And those are the ones you see. Sometimes we don't see or know when he isn't technically playing the way he should be, and something goes wrong. So there's that element to it as well. I think it was a combination of everything. It's hard to say everything definitively was one thing or the other. We don't necessarily live in that type of world, and I think that applies here as well to why the Eagles decided to move on from Chauncey.
Jeff, listen, man, we appreciate the time. Enjoy your 1 day of mandatory minicamp, your 1 day of content, and then enjoy some of your time off until training camp. We appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Jeff McClain on the Comcast Business Hotline. 1 day of mandatory minicamp. As a journalist, I'm sure you want a lot more. You want more stories to be able to write about, especially from June until like August. You get the training camp stuff, but June, July, you need to keep on writing.
Oh, yeah.
You need to keep on covering the team.
Well,
and when there's 1 day of mandatory minicamp, there's not much to unfold.
Jeff's about to go into little vacation mode himself, too.
Yeah, as he should. As
he should. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Coming up next, mandatory minicamp, 1 day of it. Where are your eyeballs when it comes to it? We'll get into that coming up next. Also, I read an article on ESPN this morning about the players that might not show up to their mandatory mini camps. We'll go through it, and maybe those could be other players to keep an eye on because sometimes we see those cuts happen before the season starts. It's Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia Union Soccer.
They play short here, quick.
The Fanatic. Mandatory minicamp going on for the Eagles. They have 1 day of it. So what are you doing, Johnny? What are you keeping your eye on during mandatory minicamp?
I'm looking to see if there's anything that we get a story out of that Howie ends up goes shopping.
Yeah.
Before camp begins in July, that maybe something becomes glaring. But I don't think in shells and we're gonna necessarily hear anything. I don't know what productivity they get out of these things.
Yeah, I mean,
but
like you said, it's installs and figuring out, who's going to compete where.
Obviously, they have a great idea of how they run their program. So Nick Sirianni, I trust he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But
enough.
I have no idea what they're really getting out of this. I really don't. How it's all going to come together.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
So
it looks good.
There was an article on ESPN.com. I read it this morning. It came out yesterday around 4 o'clock about the players they're expecting to either not show up to mandatory minicamp or show up and not really participate or show up and just kind of they're there, but they're on the side.
Right.
Including like guys like Kirk Cousins with the Atlanta Falcons because he's still looking to be traded.
Okay.
So I'm going to run through some of the names that they mention and see if it makes sense, any interest, if something were to happen. Obviously, the Eagles are not in the market for Kirk Cousins. Obviously, the Eagles are not in the market for James Cook, the running back out of Buffalo. He wants a new contract, and he's been very vocal about wanting a new contract. They mentioned Trey Hendrickson. That one obviously makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Shamar Stewart with the Bengals, but that's just rookie stuff. Micah Parsons. They are expecting to not see at mandatory minicamp, or he'll be there, but he's not going to do much. Here's the exact wording from Todd Archer. Parsons was in and out of the offseason program, but was not a part of the OTAs. He said he'll be at minicamp, but it's not known how much on-field, if any, he will do, as he is continuing to await a new contract, which he should, and he's going to get paid big time. I can't imagine Dallas letting him walk.
No. I can't either.
I know we've been having this dream of,
I'm not having the dream.
I know. Many people have the dream of, he loves the Eagles. He wants to be an Eagle so bad. The second the Dallas Cowboys put a contract that he finds worthy in front of him, he's going to take it.
I'm not having that dream. But I've seen him in too many big games just become a non-factor. So I'm fine.
Yeah.
Go play. And too many Eagles games where he's been a non-factor.
Yeah, but it's very important to the league, and I hope Mike is listening, that you get your money. Get every cent that you're worth. And until they pay you, hold out as long as you need. We're all on your side.
Yeah, we're rooting for him.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him to hold out longer.
Get every dollar that he can get. Every dollar
hold out
that
till
he
week
can
2.
3, 4.
Yeah, just
17,
miss
18.
week 1. That'd be fine.
Remember, nobody holds out.
Doesn't have to worry about the playoffs because they won't be there.
Hassan Reddick held out.
Yeah, Hassan Reddick, he's a great teammate.
Yeah.
He finally did show up.
He did show up, yep.
Did you hear what Todd Bowles said?
No, what did he say?
Yeah, we'll see him one of these weeks, I hear.
Oh, no, yeah, I remember that when he wasn't showing up.
No, he said, too, he goes, he was in the building. Because he was in the building. He's such a good teammate, that Hassan Reddick.
Shame, because I love that man.
And there were so many people that were like, oh, my gosh, they can't let Hassan Reddick go. How could they let Hassan Reddick go?
I didn't know how horrible of a teammate he was going to be.
They didn't realize that none of his teammates cared when he left.
Yeah.
None of them cared. Not one.
And they won a Super Bowl. I'm sure Hassan Reddick was a little jealous of that.
I bet.
Another name, the Dolphins. And it's funny, I saw a lot of people say this yesterday in response to our Hendrickson versus Alexander question.
Okay.
Neither get me Jalen Ramsey.
What? The Eagles have no interest in Jalen.
Vic Fangio and Jalen Ramsey don't.
They hate each other.
They don't work with each other.
Right. I mean, seriously.
Literally, Jalen Ramsey was one of the vocal Dolphins players bashing Vic Fangio.
There's a guy, Thomas Mott.
Yes.
Nice guy. Really nice guy.
Eagles content guy.
Does Eagles content.
He does a good job.
And yesterday they were like, the Eagles reportedly checking in on Jalen Ramsey. I said, no, they are not. They are not checking in on Jalen Ramsey. There is zero chance that they are bringing Jalen Ramsey in because that is not happening. There's no way Vic Fangio is signing off on, and I don't think they would have any interest in him anyway. Let alone is Vic Fangio saying, I'd love to, let's do that again.
Yeah.
No, that's not happening.
Now, lastly, none of these players are available. I don't think any of these players would be available for the Eagles. I don't think they will become available. But it's just interesting that a Commanders team that's trying to bounce back, right? Like, they had a very good season last year.
They got a lot to live up to this year, though.
They absolutely do. The cornerback that they traded for during the season last year, Marshawn Lattimore, did not go to OTAs. Again, voluntary. But there's no word yet on whether or not he'd be going to mandatory minicamp because he is looking for an extension. Terry McLaurin skipped voluntary OTAs. not entirely sure if he will be at mandatory minicamp, as he is awaiting a contract extension. And what a good way to start your new tenure with a new team. Laremy Tunsil did not go to OTAs after the
That's always
Commanders
good, isn't
traded
it?
for him. Yeah, that's good.
He may have his head in
now
the
he's not going anywhere, right? But the other two are storylines to keep an eye on, especially when the Commanders batted 1,000 last year on all these one-year contracts, and to keep a lot of these guys, they had to pay them again.
Yep, they did.
And now other guys are not getting paid, and those players are going to take exception to it. Much like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I think, has officially admitted that he was tweeting about Saquon Barkley getting paid. He did an interview in Houston, because that's where he's at now, and he talked about how, when Saquon got paid, I was kind of looking for mine.
Right.
Remember when he tweeted about that and said, no, I swear that has nothing to do with Saquon.
I wasn't here when he did that.
Right. It had everything to do with Saquon.
It had everything to do with it.
He was jealous of the money, but that was
part of why he's not here.
Right, because of the cap and all that.
That's part of why he's not here.
But now that's kind of unfolding with the Commanders right now, that there's guys seeing other people get paid, and they're going, well, hold on a second. Where's mine?
Yeah. You're going to have some of that.
So it's just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. Let's have as much discord as we can. Let's have them let's have them be unhappy.
Makes you feel good about where the Eagles are at.
Yes. Makes you feel really good with where the Eagles are at. All right, real quick game for you guys.
Ooh, I like it.
This just it popped up on my timeline. Somebody posted a Adrian Peterson highlight reel, which, his highlights are ridiculous.
Which is nice.
I didn't realize how many teams he played for.
Yeah, he bounced
Adrian
around
Peterson?
at the end.
So, we all know Minnesota, all right? 10 years with the Vikings. I want you guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other teams.
What?
Yeah, dude.
Well, I know Washington.
All right.
I know
Washington for 2 years. The rest were 1 year or 1 game. But he played for 5 other teams in his NFL
Well, remember, this is 2 after he beat his child.
Correct. Do you remember the teams that
Seattle?
Adrian Peterson... Seattle, he played 1 game.
Okay, I remember Seattle.
I don't remember that at all.
No, I do remember that.
He played 1 game for the Seahawks at the end of his career, his final year.
Was he in Indy?
He was never in Indy.
I don't know, man.
No, I don't know.
Tennessee for 3 games.
Wow.
The Saints for 4. This one I remember, Arizona for 6 games.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah, I remember that now that you say it.
I don't remember him playing 16 games for the Detroit Lions.
I don't remember that at all.
So he went Vikings to the Saints to the Cardinals to the Commanders to the Lions to the Titans to the Seahawks. But he played a full season with the Lions in 2020. That was a COVID year, so maybe that's why. Maybe that's why I don't remember
There's a lot
any of
more
that.
going on.
Yeah. But Adrian Peterson played 16 games for the Lions. He played for 7 teams in his career.
Wow.
I don't remember that.
That is incredible.
Bit of a blur at the end there.
Oh,
Still
my
a Hall of
gosh.
Famer.
Yes,
Easy.
he is. All right, coming up next, Amy Fadul joins us for the remainder of the show today. I don't see her out there.
Usually we see her.
Usually she's on the couch, but there was the stretch of weeks where the traffic was really bad.
Well, that could happen again.
So hopefully that's not the case today. But Amy Fadul will be with us for the rest of the show. We have a lot that we've been talking about today with the Eagles, the Phillies, and the lack of pizzazz that this team has. We got a lot more to get into coming up in the 9 o'clock hour with Amy Fadul here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A gritty win for the Phils. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies snapped their 5-game losing streak last night with a walk-off win over the Cubs. It was not pretty. It took 11 innings, but we'll take anything we can get at this point with the Fightins. Brandon Marsh had the winning hit in the bottom of the 11th, and he talked after the game about the rough stretch the Phillies have been in.
Every team goes through rough patches, that we're going through, but the good teams find a way to get out of it, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep showing up every day and just giving it our all.
Maybe that's a momentum builder for the Phils, that win last night. Zach Wheeler also threw a strong 6 innings in his first start back from paternity leave, including his 1,000th strikeout as a member of the Phillies. They'll try and make it 2 straight tonight as they turn to Mick Abel for Game 2 against the Cubs. Colin Ray on the mound for Chicago. The 6:45 p.m. first pitch from the bank. The Eagles begin mandatory minicamp today. Head coach Nick Sirianni will meet with the media at 2:10. The Panthers took down the Oilers 6-1 last night in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals. That series is now 2-1 in favor of Florida. Amy Fadul will join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update's brought to you by WhatsApp. On WhatsApp, your personal messages stay private because your personal messages are yours. No one else can see or hear them, not even WhatsApp. WhatsApp, message privately with everyone. I'm Connor Thomas on the home of the NBA Finals in Philadelphia, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Texting. Here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Sorry, Amy's here, and I saw her in the hallway.
Sorry about that.
Welcome in, Amy Fadul.
Nice you guys to catch up in the hallway.
Yeah, we hung out without you.
Sorry about
nice.
that. I'm sorry.
It's good.
There was a little golf. There was a little putting.
That's
we just
nice.
wanted to
Making
give
fun
you
of Haley with her shirt.
your time, your free time.
I was watching the double doink.
Were you really?
What? Why?
Yeah,
That's
because
awesome.
it came up on my timeline.
Oh.
Chicago Eagles.
Oh, you know what came up
I'm
on
in
my
Chicago,
timeline
Philly.
yesterday? Speaking of Chicago.
What was that?
The goal that never happened that no one knew about.
Oh, boy.
It was
the
15
Stanley
years
Cup
ago.
winning goal.
Yeah.
15 years ago yesterday. It was remarkable to watch that again and see how 2 people in the entire arena knew it went in. And one of them was Patrick Kane.
Yeah.
And everybody else is just like walking around.
Yeah.
One of the
Just
worst,
it's
like one of the most
that was awful.
anticlimactic
just ended.
moments to.
Just ended.
It was just like, what happened? What? No, that didn't.
Disappointing for us, but much more exciting than last night's Stanley Cup action when Florida won 6-1.
Which is so weird.
By the way, we just went through that article, Johnny, about players that might not report to mandatory minicamp. Bang! Right after we go through that article, Trey Hendrickson officially not at mandatory minicamp for the Cincinnati Bengals as he continues to seek that new contract, which ain't going to happen because Cincinnati doesn't want to pay anybody other than a quarterback and wide receivers. That's why I keep on saying have fun with those traffic cones, Joe Burrow.
Yeah, and barely pay wide receivers.
Yeah, and they're not going to pay defense. And weren't they like the worst ranked defense in the NFL last year?
Terrible.
Interesting. The Steelers will not see TJ Watt at mandatory minicamp. There has been no progress per Ian Rappaport and Mike Garafolo on a long-term deal.
But you know what, though? Make sure you bring in Aaron Rodgers. He's a culture builder.
Yeah.
Make sure you get Aaron Rodgers his money.
He'll be there.
I mean, I think he's getting like $7.
$10. He got $10 million.
$10 million.
He could get 19.5 though.
With incentives,
if he doesn't keel over and die.
He doesn't have his mushrooms and magic mushrooms and everything else. Yeah, he's a real team builder. He's a real team.
I still can't believe that they waited this entire offseason. Oh, Aaron finally chose us.
Yeah, go back. I can't believe they waited since Ben Roethlisberger was, a walking, zombie out there. Yeah. And they thought, hey, maybe we need like another quarterback behind this guy.
Mike Tomlin, to me, it's so disappointing to see him pander to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I feel like they're grasping at straws out there. It's such an interesting turn of events because that used to be really like, I mean, I should say.
They still have a good team. Yeah, their team is good.
It's a very good, high standard
They've
out
been
there.
a quarterback away for, 10 years now?
That's the thing. At one point, did you realize Roethlisberger needed to have like somebody waiting in the wings?
Yeah.
Like it's just, you're an organization. You're not a fly by the night, but whatever.
Unbelievable.
Pretty crazy.
So, yeah, something to keep an eye on, the Trey Hendrickson situation. Amy, we talked about this yesterday.
I know. I heard. I was with Shawnee, and he took exception.
What? To what?
I said I would rather have Trey Hendrickson than...
Shawnee's the smart one in the
Alexander. We were driving back from his the orthodontist appointment, just a checkup, and so it was only like 5 minutes long, and we'd stop by the Dunkin' to get some snacks.
Always good.
Yes.
Yeah, because he missed breakfast, so we got it on the way back. And we were listening to you gentlemen, as always, and he was like, I would take Alexander in a heartbeat. I was like, really? No. Hendrickson.
Really?
He was like, why? This defensive lineman, you could have the secondary for the Eagles, and he's restricted. He's a free agent. You could just pick him up. It's like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I would have rather have spent the money on Hendrickson.
Hendrickson's the more dynamic player. Absolutely. 17 and a half sacks last year and the year before, 35 sacks total over the last 2 seasons. I don't know who Keely Ringo is.
Yeah, I think that the secondary is still a question, but I think John made the point that we thought that last year too. Mm-hmm. So maybe have a little faith.
Yeah, we also thought the same thing with the pass rush.
The only thing is, though, last year with the pass rush, people keep saying that one, and I'm like, last year with the pass rush, we had Josh Sweat and Milton Williams. It's completely
but nobody
different.
thought Milton Williams
I think
would be
he thought Josh was going to get back. Yeah.
No, Milton Williams was a veteran with experience. Josh Sweat was a guy who disappeared for 7-8 games a year, but still you knew was going to still give you 7 or 8 sacks.
Yeah, productive.
This year we have nothing. We have no idea, and we're hoping that things are going to be okay. Yeah. I don't like hope. Hope's not a strategy.
No, hope springs eternal.
It's not a strategy.
No, it is not a strategy. So you would go with Hendrickson, okay?
For me, yes.
And I did it.
Kane.
But I don't know financially if it's
that's obviously it's a big difference
because he's going to get a big contract.
Alexander, there was a lot of speculation on NFL Live yesterday that he could end up on a 1-year deal somewhere.
Like a show me deal?
Yep.
And why not do it with defending Super Bowl champions?
Exactly.
Because there was talk out of Green Bay that the organization felt he took an extra week here, I'm not running back. You
Right.
guys aren't giving me my contract. Well, I'm not running back.
Kind of slow rolled it.
Uh-huh.
It is interesting, and the idea of kind of sticking it to Green Bay does have a certain appeal.
And
in
if
that
they
regard.
think that, and if they think that's what he's into, is this the best place in the world
I mean,
to do that?
you couldn't be better. I mean, the Lions might be the only other one, just because
Right.
obviously being a divisional rival, and you play them twice
I
a
don't
year.
think they need him as much.
No, but I mean, as far as like
Right.
really giving it to
Sure,
your own
sure,
team,
sure,
you're gonna
sure,
play
sure.
them twice, and you're gonna fight for the division. But yeah, if you were looking outside for a winner and a way to like get back at
Especially
your
all
own
the
team,
tush-push nonsense.
you're gonna
yeah.
play them this year. Like, come on, you might
I
play
love
them in
it.
the playoffs again.
It would be pretty
It'd be
awesome.
great.
Welcome in.
You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, WPN, HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, BZ Media Group Station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. This is Kincade and Salciunas. Amy Fadul with us for the remainder of the show today. Amy, we've had an interesting conversation about the Phillies today. Phillies, of course, win yesterday. Thank God. It was ugly. Like, the game sucked. The only thing that was not bad about the game was Zach Wheeler pitched well.
Right.
It was fun to see Otto Kemp get 3 hits, and they won thanks to Brandon Marsh with the game-winning hit. JT Realmuto ties it in the 11th inning. But other than that, the game ultimately sucked. There was bad base running. There was bad fielding. There was bad bullpen stuff. It was a bit of another disaster for the Phillies, but this time they at least came away with the win. And so we got into a conversation where we thought, like, let's just mention it. Let's just throw it out there.
For fun.
And then a lot of people wanted to chime in on it because
Yes.
they feel the same way. This team's missing seasoning. This team is very corporate. This team is missing pizzazz.
A little pasty.
And we started there with the whole, it's a bunch of white dudes.
No, we had, was it Joe the Cynic?
Joe the Cynic
They're
said
the
it.
non-exciting whites.
He's called them the non-exciting whites.
Which I thought was that was the tweet of the day.
And it's amazing. I remember before the season started, we were kind of looking around the diamond like, wow, it's okay. This is what it is. And then I got into a conversation with an owner of a brewery on Saturday. I was at a brewery. We talked about it. And then literally the next day, John and I talked about it on Monday. Mm-hmm. And then last night, I got a DM from one of our great listeners about it. And I'm like, wait a minute. So this is on people's minds. So let's talk about it. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of people chimed in. Yeah. We had a great tweet earlier today. Let me read it for you from Pratik. Pratik said, I've been saying this for a long time. A big problem with the Phillies is that they're too white. I'm proud of you for pointing out some of these things. You're 100% correct. This team needs to have more fun and more swagger. Now, it's not about are they all white or whatever. But to me, it's about how they go about their business. Are they having fun playing a kid's game? And they're not this year.
Very tight.
So Pratik followed up with a tweet. He sent me a tweet that he tweeted out last night during the game saying, wow, I'm seeing smiles and energy for the first time. And it's true. Like, I know they needed to grow up, the daycare stuff. Like, they're 28, 29 years old. There's no more daycare. Like, it's time to grow up, and it's time to be big league ball players, not throwing the helmet all the time like Alec Boehm did last year. But when they were winning, like, name me the time where you guys highlighted something on NBC Sports Philadelphia that was like, wow, look at this really cool moment.
Yeah, or somebody sharing in a moment with another player that, oh, you did this, and kind of give them either like a little bit of chiding, or you always see the fun things where the guy, like his first hit or whatever, and then they don't talk to him for his home run. Or
right.
Like fun things like that. It's been very a business-like approach, and I think at the beginning you were thinking, well, it's because they're all focused, right? And that's fine. But there is no season longer than the baseball season.
Correct.
So when you've got 162 and you're playing for months on months on months, weeks and weeks, 15 straight days, 16 straight days, to have no sense of being able to like lighten things up. Like, I get it, you want to be serious and take everything, like this is my job, and that I appreciate that. But when Kyle Schwarber blasts a bomb that's 450 feet or something, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Like, I loved hearing Otto Kemp being like, seeing that stuff up close is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. It should be. It should be awesome. Let's appreciate the awesomeness of it and have a little fun. So I think that there's a fine line that they just haven't been able to walk as far as being businesslike while having fun. It seems like it's just been very like, all right, we go up, we play our game, and then if we win, great. If we don't, well, we're back at it. And you hear that in the post-game comments, and while I appreciate that, a little fire would be nice. Good or bad.
Yeah.
Good or bad.
Earlier in the year, they did have the Schwarbaum cardboard sign. Do you guys remember that?
Yes.
Is that May? Early May?
It was April.
I think so. But that's like very, very out of character for a major league dugout to have like a sign made to hold up for a player. So there have been bits and pieces. It just hasn't been enough.
I think, too, is that there was a lot of, I don't know, there's pushback on what is fun and what isn't. And I think that Bryce Harper sort of put it out where the daycare is dead.
Right.
As far as, because
And it can be dead, but last night they dunked
right.
Kemp. I thought that was
great. That was for Kemp because it's a new thing. It's a new thing. It's a rookie, quote unquote rookie guy.
So have fun,
getting
enjoy
his opportunity, enjoy it. But it doesn't have to be every night.
Right, exactly.
It doesn't have to be the seeds
it's not the
and
staged
the water
kind
and
of
the
like
staged
expectation.
Stuff. Right. And it was time to change things up.
Yeah, which I agree. I appreciate
That's
that.
good.
But at the same time, I think showing fire is
sure.
You need a little something.
Yeah, especially because of how long the season is. And that was one of the points that you made.
Incredibly
Like,
long.
imagine clocking into your job every day and you hate it. Not that they hate playing. Like they have opportunities with their life that we will never have, right? With all the money that these guys make and the travel that they get to go on and all that kind of stuff. But it is grueling. Like, I know nobody
It's
wants.
grind.
Like, people don't want to feel bad for them, and I get it. Like,
you don't have to feel bad for him, but you can appreciate the fact that it is a grind.
Right.
No, there's very few people.
162 is a lot.
162, and there's not a lot of days off. You'll have a Monday off, and then you're going to work 12 straight days.
Right.
14 straight days.
And they have to meet the media some point every day.
We're very
They have to navigate the media every day.
And when you're losing 9 of 10,
And it
you
can
hear
suck.
the grousing.
And when you're getting swept by the Pirates.
Yeah. And there's, by the way, swept by the Pirates where a lot of Phillies fans traveled
Absolutely.
to Pittsburgh, so I'm sure they made their voices heard pretty well. Like, I think there's something has to happen with this baseball team. I think Bryson Stott was asked about a team meeting the other day, and he was like, look, if the veterans on this team think we need to have a team meeting, we'll have a team meeting. Team meeting doesn't have to be smacking the Gatorade cooler. Team meeting could be like, all right, guys, we got to lighten up around here.
Yeah, listen up. We got a couple of things to go over.
We're tense. Everybody's tense. And they've been tense since the Mets series, it almost feels like.
One of the people that I think is always good for lightening the mood, and just you saw when they were winning, and I remember I go back to when he was mic'd up and he came up with the band, Brandon Marsh. That guy's been a little tense because he's been struggling.
Yeah.
I think he could kind of set the tone.
Well, and it was fun to see him get the game-winning hit yesterday and him celebrating.
Good things, I hope.
But, you also have to back it up with your play more and more moving forward. So, coming up next, we'll check our text messages on this because I know a lot of people have been chiming in on this conversation today. So that comes your way next. Also, start thinking about this. John, Amy, Connor. Yesterday, we did the Pro Football Focus top 25 players under 25. It was a horrible list because what else is new with Pro Football Focus? I want to try to make it a Philadelphia-related thing. Who are the top young players in Philadelphia right now? Who's like number 1 or 2 or 3? We'll go through that, but that comes your way at 9:25. We'll check the text line coming up in the next segment here on Kincade Salciunas with Amy Fadul, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ricky Bo.
During the commercial break about golf, as Amy Fadul's here with us. Connor, you, like me, have no problem golfing by yourself.
Love it.
Connor said love it. Like
Yeah.
you enthusiastically said.
Love it?
I love it.
I don't mind it at all. Like I
Oh my
probably
gosh.
prefer, unless I'm obviously golfing with my buddies. Now, John and Amy hate it.
I would be bored.
I'm gonna go out and play this afternoon. I'm just desperately hoping that
I would be,
bet
when I
you're
get there,
desperately
someone-
hoping to be paired with someone is crazy.
No,
Yeah, no, I don't know if I would be. I just wouldn't show up to go play by myself. I would plan it.
No,
Oh,
I mean,
really?
I do not
Yeah.
want to.
I
I do
used
not
to-
want to. I want to get out there and I want to work
Yeah.
and I want to play.
When I lived in the Northeast, I could walk to John F. Burns, the prestigious
Oh.
golf course, John F. Byrne. I used to walk there all the time and just
No way.
walk on and
I
start
think I'd
playing.
get through like 8 holes. And be
Walnut
like, all
Walnut
right.
Lane, when I lived in Manayunk, I would just
Walnut
I would
Lane.
walk
okay,
up.
now listen though. Okay,
I mean, I
little
would play
different.
Walnut Lane by myself because 45
Little
minutes later, I'd be
different. This
done.
is-
Yeah, that's true.
A little different. This is I've joined a club.
True, okay.
So it's a little different, and so it's
What was that supposed to mean?
Well, I mean, like you're walking.
Oh,
it's
you're
not
fancy.
No,
Oh, you're not good for the
fancy.
munis?
It's that I know I'm not just
Andrew and out
walking
here on the municipals.
I'm not walking onto the. I'm not
golfing
walking
with the
onto old
people, John.
bastards
Okay.
next to Rafferty.
I'm golfing with people. All
I'm
right?
not walking next to Rafferty Subaru.
I'm
and not
golfing
gonna-
where there was a cat that felt comfortable enough to use the sand trap.
Or the
Really?
kids
Yes.
come over and start taking the golf balls.
that's
which
always
is I've
good.
absolutely been.
By the
out
way,
there.
if you haven't bought golf balls from kids on a golf course, from a muni course, you haven't played.
you have an experience.
Yeah, that's true.
Or,
That's
or
true.
one time when I was at Walnut Lane, I had a birdie look, which is hilarious, and so I actually put my gloved hand down on the green, came up.
Did your hand come up green?
Sure did.
There it is.
Yeah,
You're spraying.
damn right. That's
Sure
awesome.
did.
John Chaney. Did you think of Coach?
I would see
did
him.
you
I would
think
see
of
him there.
Playing cards?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Playing cards
And
in the clubhouse?
we
That's
go over to
awesome.
Chubby's.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
damn right. That's awesome.
Coach Chaney.
That's great. Yeah, so
That was like one of my first experiences.
I was golfing
Was it
John
really?
F.
golfing
Byrne
in
once,
Philadelphia.
and there was a cat using the
That's
sand
amazing.
trap.
That's amazing.
And so I just waited.
Well, I mean,
He was
you know,
doing his business.
Did he cover it?
He did.
See, now well
I-
done, Kat.
And I was like, I'm not going to hit the ball there, though.
No,
I'm going to do whatever I can to not hit the ball
Just in
there.
general, probably if
How
I
does
to
a
say
cat
it, but
know to
definitely
do that?
It's an outdoor cat.
all cats. It's instinctual.
Litter box.
So a cat,
It's
no,
a
but
giant
no,
litter
it's an
box.
outdoor
Even a feral
so it wouldn't
cat
have a
is
litter box.
instinctual.
Really?
It's
Yeah.
an instinctual.
They
that's
usually
wild.
they usually
Correct.
pee in like soil and cover it. But
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So
Well,
what if you
I think
take it
it's
to
like
the
a thing-
beach?
Well, then they would have a field day.
Ah.
But I think it's about covering your
world,
tracks
man.
so then the animal doesn't know that you were there. You
Oh,
know what I
that's
mean?
interesting.
It's like an
Okay.
instinctual thing.
Connor,
Look at
you
that.
could take notes.
It's a fun fact.
You're learning here too.
You could take notes. No,
kinds of fun
Connor could
facts.
take notes on his
What did
behaviors
I do?
around
You
here.
should just cover things up. A
All
bit.
right, what do we got on the text line as I just checked our YouTube chat?
They're wondering
and
what happened.
Idol76 says golf isn't even a sport. What do we
Oh,
got? What do we
come
got?
on.
What do we got on the text line, Connor?
Kevin from Jersey checks in on the game last night for the Phils and says, lackluster game, however, that 11th inning gave me hope. They hit, then bunted, busted it down the line multiple times, and got to see a field alignment I have never seen from them, then won the game.
Yeah, I mean, look, they showed that they can win by playing small ball.
Yeah.
And they showed that yesterday. So
why are they so resistant to it?
It's a great question. And I get it. There's the analytics of, you're giving up and out by drop. I don't care. Like, if you're putting your team in a better position to win. Yeah, but that's not just a Topper thing.
I believe it's how he thinks the game's
played. I think that's a lot of how people in baseball today think. Now, there is one thing that I will stand by, and I was shocked and Ray stunned that JT Realmuto dropped down a perfect bunt.
Well, I think that was part of it.
But I bet you that guy has not bunted in 15 years.
I was going to say.
Because odds are
certainly not since he's been in Philadelphia.
He was probably the cleanup hitter in his little league team. He was probably the cleanup hitter in college and all throughout the minors. And he probably hasn't bunted in 15 years. And yet he drops a perfect one down. So it makes you think, all right.
They all are able to bunt.
They probably can do it, even though we're always told that they can't. Like, maybe Alec Boehm next time you do drop one down, instead of rolling into a double play for the 80th time this year.
To end the game. It's hard to watch because you see it be successful and know that that's not the formula for them. So it's kind of hard to marry the two. Like, John, your point was like, well, why don't they do it? They don't do it because they're not built that way, mentally, nor how their lineup is constructed. But it shows that they can do that. You know, it's just about getting guys, ducks on the pond, moving them home. Like, it's a simple thing.
I just don't understand why this team, even though I know it's not what their fastball is or what they prefer to do,
why they can't work
so
with
many times
else.
When the game would dictate it, they haven't done it.
Listen, you know, I like to play this game at work, and it's anytime they have runners in scoring position with one or less outs, how many runs do the Phillies score in this inning? And I go around, and most of the time people say 0.
Yeah.
Last night, I wasn't at work, but I'm sure the overriding vote was 0. Bases loaded, no out. People thought, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And they're lucky they scored a run.
Yeah.
Like Realmuto beats one out, and then the double play next play. It's unbelievable. All right, coming up next.
It's so fast. It was like a minute and a half of lifetime from the time they loaded the bases
with nobody
to
out.
The time that it was dun, 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 which, by the way, is the wormhole of my summer. That little jingle.
I love that jingle.
So but it's in my head all summer.
That's fine. It's not a bad one to have.
My wife says, "Stop whistling that."
Coming up next.
It's in all our heads.
Who are the top young athletes in Philadelphia? We'll steal it from Pro Football Focus because they did it horribly, so we'll do it better our own way. It's Kincade and Salciunas. Amy with us for the rest of the show, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phillies walk off the Cubs. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Phillies snapped their 5-game losing streak last night with a walk-off win over the Cubs. Brandon Marsh had the game-winning hit in the bottom of the 11th, and he talked after the game about the rough stretch the Phils have been in lately and what the team needs to do.
Every team goes through rough patches, that we're going through, but the good teams find a way to get out of it, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep showing up every day and just giving our all.
Here's a nice fix. Let Zach Wheeler throw every game. He was great again last night. He threw a strong 6th inning in his first start back from paternity leave, including his 1,000th strikeout as a Philly. Now, obviously, he can't start every game. Tonight, it'll be Mick Abel for the Phillies as they look to try and make it 2 straight victories. He'll face off against Colin Ray for the Cubs, 6:45 p.m. first pitch from the bank. The Eagles begin mandatory minicamp today. Head coach Nick Sirianni is going to meet with the media coming up at 2:10. And the Florida Panthers took down the Edmonton Oilers 6-1 last night to take a 2-1 lead in the Stanley Cup Finals. Amy Fadul will remain with the guys for the rest of the show. This update is brought to you by Family and Company Jewelers. Ditch the ties and gift cards this year and get that something different. Get them a gift that shows how much you care, like a hand-forged pocket knife from William Henry. FamilyJewelers.com. I'm Connor Thomas on the home of the NBA Finals in Philadelphia, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
4 here on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. All right, so I started writing these down during the commercial break, and if I missed any, you let me know.
I meant to ask, are they current professionals at the biggest league level?
Yes, for the Eagles, Phillies, Flyers,
Thank you so much.
Sixers.
Yeah,
and
I left them off too, Amy.
Thank you. Sorry, you knew who I was going for.
Like Andrew Painter, I don't have on there.
That's why I was going to wonder. I just didn't know.
So, and I
or Aiden Miller.
Under 25, so it's not 25 and under. I did under 25 just so that everybody is on the same page. You're under the age of 25. Once you hit 25, you're off. You're done. All right.
You're finished.
I'm not going in order. I'm just going to tell you, here are the players for the Phillies.
Okay.
And it shows you how old they are, which was a concern coming into this season.
It's going to be
list.
Rojas, who's 24, not an everyday player. Kirkering, who's 24, who's been kind of disappointing this season.
A little bit up and down.
And McAble, who's been fun to watch through his 2 starts. He's 23. That's it.
And Painter, who's 22, arrives.
But
21
big league who have been,
21
played.
arrives. Right,
Yep.
exactly.
But Rojas, Kirkering, Abel. That's it.
Crazy.
I only had Kirkering.
That's crazy.
Sixers. Now, the Sixers had 1 billion players play under the age of 25 this year.
Take your pick.
I only wrote down 2 of them, Maxey and McCain.
Yeah.
I still can't believe Tyrese Maxey's only 24 years old. It's amazing.
It's incredible.
But those are the only 2 guys that I thought were worth writing down. Like, we'll see what a Dembona can become. But, like, I'm not, like, excited right now. Right? Like, and by the way, Quentin Grimes turned 25.
Dembona.
So, I have Maxey McCain. Flyers, Michkov, Bobby Brink, Tyson Forrester. Those are the 3.
That's good.
That's 3.
24 young. So that's 3. They have as many as the Phillies do, which is crazy.
And by the way, far better quality.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the
Start to
Eagles, I have DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell, Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter. Again, like I didn't write down Jalix Hunt because like I need to see more before I start saying like, man, this guy's exciting.
Right.
But you wrote down McAble?
Yeah, I've seen
He's
2
seen 2
starts.
starts.
You have to see more.
I've seen 2 starts, and he's individual, by the way.
All
I've
right.
seen 2 starts. Fine. I'll put down Jalix Hunt if you want. All right.
Did have a very good
You've
finish
seen
to the
more of
season.
Jalix Hunt than you've seen
That's
of
true.
McAble.
All right, fair. So Jalix Hunt makes the list. Does Nakobe Dean, does he strike you as exciting young player considering he's hurt often?
You can't put Nakobe
I don't know
on
that
the
I can
list.
put him on that list.
Yeah.
But
on the
I hope
disabled
he
list,
is.
you could put him on.
I hope he's going to be that guy. He's shown me that he
hope.
could be that guy.
Right.
Well, what do you?
You've seen
I mean,
flashes. I mean, I think he's a very good player.
I mean, he's not under contract at the end of this year.
Yeah. And like I didn't put
Neither
down
Jordan Davis.
I didn't put down Will Shipley just because we didn't
yeah,
see him
Jordan,
as
Jordan's
much.
the fifth
that's what he did have the fixture.
Jordan's got the
they
fifth year.
They did pick up the 5th year for Jordan Davis.
I mean, I expect
Jordan Davis is under the.
I expect Nakobe to be. Yeah, Jordan Davis is on.
He's
there.
25.
He's 25.
His birthday's
25
in
now.
January.
Yeah.
Just turned 25.
So in the
Oh, geez.
city of Philadelphia, under the age of 25, I have 13 players of note that are written down.
By the way, I don't think it's a
Yeah, I mean, I'm
terrible list.
It's under 25.
Yeah.
It's a good list. You would have to look at like other cities to say.
The Phillies are holding it up.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sixers.
Sixers need an influx.
It's an
They need a
absolute
youth movement.
and we
You
need
got-
that.
Yeah.
Especially in a sport where you can get guys after 1 year of college.
They
so
can
they're
be 19.
Think about that.
Right.
That's a 6-year
That's
gap.
why it's so hard for you to believe that Tyrese Maxey's 24 because he's
Right.
been here for 5 years.
So
That is incredible.
I imagine if
Well,
we're
he's
going
youthful too.
if
He
we're
is.
going overall talent, Jalen Carter comes in number 1, right? Like no debate there.
Or Mishkov.
Michkov would be probably 2 for me.
Mishkov
I would
is-
put
So you
Jalen
go
Carter one.
Michkov over Carter.
Mi-
I don't
Mishkov-
put him over it, but I put him like right next,
Mishkov will
like
be-
right under him.
Yeah, I think Mishkov is going to be every bit in his sport what Jalen Carter is in his.
Interesting.
I think Maxey's in that conversation
Yeah.
too.
I do not.
Really?
No. Mishkov, if you're doing the Sesame Street game, Mishkov to the NHL, Carter to the NFL, Maxey to the NBA.
Okay.
Maxey's not in that conversation.
I don't know, man. It's
Maxey
tough
is
to make
not
an
in that
NBA
Yeah, but if
All-Star
I do
team.
it to the team, he is.
Well, to the team,
Right, to the
he
team
is.
he is.
Okay, so we're
Maxey
talking
to the
team.
Sixers, Michkov to the Flyers,
team he is.
Jalen Carter to the Eagles.
Jalen Carter.
Are all things equal?
Yeah.
I guess part of the reason why I like this exercise, you need youth movements for your teams, right? Because you can have
Yes.
the Phillies that can have a bunch of 30-year-old players, but you need a couple of those young guys that are going to really make an impact. They just don't have really any of them at all. Like Jalen Carter is going to be here for a long time.
Right.
Michkov, Maxey will be too. But I agree with you guys that I would put Maxey behind Carter and Michkov. I still go Carter number 1.
Okay. And that's
then
I go Carter 1, but I might
go Michkov 2.
I might.
And then Maxey 3.
That's tough for me. That's tough for me.
I don't think Maxey's close to Michkov.
As importance to his team or as importance to talent-wise to the
and
league?
that's the thing is, Amy, you're bringing up a really good point as far as like.
I guess I was comparing it like who they are for their team.
Michkov is the centerpiece of his franchise.
Yeah. Whereas Maxey's still the second fiddle to Joel Embiid.
But Maxey can't be.
But
if Maxey is, we're not winning anything.
Yeah, but Maxey's also on a team with a guy who won MVP.
Yeah. No, but I mean, if Maxey is if Maxey going forward is the centerpiece of the Sixers franchise, we are competing for the play-in tournament and lottery.
And you think if Michkov doesn't have anything else, he's enough?
I think Michkov is going to be a top 10 player in
as
the
an
NHL.
Individual talent, and then hopefully they build around him correctly.
I think Michkov will be a top 10 player in the NHL.
And we had that, and you saw what the Claude Giroux era was. Like
because they never had
runs,
the right pieces around.
Claude Giroux is not Matvei Michkov.
Oof, that's a heck of a statement to make at this point in his career.
Claude Giroux is what his skill set and talents is not Matvei Michkov. Matvei Michkov is a goal scorer.
He's going to light that lamp.
Matvei Michkov is a goal scorer. Matvei Michkov should be when the Flyers get more surrounding talent, 40 should be a afterthought.
A baseline.
Afterthought. Yeah. 50.
I hear you in that.
50 we will
does
see
need to maybe
times.
not as try not to be as flashy at times.
Correct.
Yeah.
Maybe play a little bit more within yourself.
All Michigans.
And by the way,
only Michigans from here on out.
And by the way, again, he was
Can't wait for Talk to be like, those are great. Let's do that.
He was a little disappointed with the coaching change. So too,
Michkov was?
Yeah, a little disappointed.
I think he enjoys
a
hard line.
So he's going to be, but I think Rick Tocchet will clearly win him over.
You know what? But the sad thing is doing this, right? The Phillies, Rojas, Kirkering, Abel could literally be at the bottom of this list.
Yes.
Like, even though the Sixers sucked this year, and there's very little excitement surrounding that team, people are more excited about Maxey and McCain than Orion Kirkering and Johan Rojas, because he doesn't get the opportunity to really prove anything.
Well, Rojas,
that list is sad.
They honestly, they gave Rojas a chance, and he delivered.
Yeah, he did. And then they still went with Marsh.
And then they said, well, we're going to try to prove that we gave away Logan O'Hoppe. And we're going to try to prove that we didn't do it by mistake.
Yeah, but this is the Phillies part of this is more baseball than it is the Phillies.
Yeah, it is hard to relate the two. I mean, Jalen Carter has a little bit of that. I think he shines through because of the way that he operates on that defense and because he can turn his individual effort into a greater good for the defense. Baseball, there's more correlation for that as far as like trying to have your individual effort really pay off. I think in hockey you can shine individually and your team can still not perform well. Basketball, for sure. We've seen that in spades, obviously, with the Sixers. These guys are doing really well. Sixers don't do anything.
Well, I was saying more. There's like 5,000 levels of minor leagues that you can stash guys under 25 in baseball.
Rather than bring up, but don't.
In basketball, you're playing or you're in.
Yeah, you're playing right away.
Yeah. Hockey, you're playing or you're in one league.
The Phillies have the opportunity, as do every team, to call up a player before the age of 25.
You've seen it. How many
except
times,
for this team.
I feel like in the last 3 weeks we've seen these great videos. They're my favorite videos to watch on Instagram.
You always repost them.
I love those videos. I love those videos and soldiers coming home videos to their families. Those are my two favorite. Top. I will always repost those. We've seen a ton of those.
Yeah.
The Royals have had them. The Mariners have had them.
Red Sox just called up the number one prospect yesterday.
He was on Andy Painter Day when he debuted for the Iron Pigs.
Yeah.
Roman Anthony was there that day. Absolutely lived up to it.
Caglione got called up last week.
Caglione got called up. We saw the kid from the Mariners get called up.
Caglione was in the minors for what, 2 years?
2 years.
If that. No, this is his second year.
He graduated from Florida in 20. He graduated from Florida in 23.
I think it's not even. I don't think it's 2 years in the minors.
He played A ball in 2024.
Think about it.
And is with the big league club this year.
A-ball.
And they didn't hesitate.
That's amazing.
It's like when the Braves called up Andrew Jones. Like, oh, don't you have to go? No, if you're good, you're good.
Yeah,
but not here.
For whatever reason, the Phillies don't do that.
I do appreciate that they are going to try Otto Kemp places. Everybody, I think, is waiting for.
He's 25, by the way.
I know. I looked it up because I looked it up.
They want them to have. They want them to have a wife, at least 2 kids.
Right.
They're trying to say, could we?
Aiden Miller. When's that happening? Just to even get up to the next
Who
level.
knows?
All right, devil's advocate. They pulled Kerkering from A ball to pitching in the NLCS.
That was great.
2 years ago.
And
That was great.
I think that
We
he's
celebrated it.
I think
We did,
I
'cause he
think
was
Orion.
fun.
I don't think Orion Kerkering's story is nearly written.
No.
And I think he's having growing pains, bumps in the road.
Yeah.
I'm not giving.
still got
I'm not-
electric
yeah,
stuff.
I'm still sold on him.
I think
I'm
he's
still
got
high
the
on him.
stuff,
Yeah.
and I think he'll bounce through it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
He's
Brad,
still very young.
I'd buy
as
stock.
we just heard.
I would buy stock today in Orion Kerkering.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
Bradley Ryder on Twitter, he tweets in, funny that you guys are talking about this. I did a similar exercise for Major League Baseball, just baseball, because Pro Football Focus. The reason why we're doing this, yesterday they did a top 25 players under 25, and Jalen Carter came in at 17, which is comical.
Ridiculous.
But he did one on his own time, the 25 players under the age of 25 in baseball. He does not have a Philly on them. Because Rojas, Kerkering, Abel.
Well, yeah, Abel barely.
Abel we don't know much about yet.
He might
Kerkering's
not count in his list.
been up and down this year, and then Rojas he's not a
Everyday
starter.
player.
I was, by the way, Amy, outraged as I campaigned for Andrew Salciunas to twice be named before his 30th birthday 30 under 30 at Temple.
Yeah, well.
I'm so sorry.
Sometimes
We'll
they drop
get a
sometimes they
31
drop the
under
ball.
31.
And I pushed because I thought he deserved it. So
Sometimes
he's now,
they drop the
And
ball.
now look at 31-year-old.
30, top
by the way,
31 under
now,
31.
Now hosting at ESPN Radio nationally, by the way.
Don't worry, I got that Radio Inc. under 30.
See?
There
I
you
got
go.
I got that
There
one.
you go.
It's just my own alma mater.
I pushed.
As much as I talk about them
I
on
pushed.
these airwaves,
I pushed.
no love back.
It's because you're not playing enough video games to
It's
help
like
their NIL.
no, it's my relationship with the Sixers.
It is
they
part
don't
of it.
love
Yeah,
me.
it is. It's part of it.
All right, coming up next, we'll check our text messages. We have the Key 3 coming up. And, of course, speaking of the Sixers, who I love dearly, we have Amy here. So let's get into the latest report about that third overall pick. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We want to hear from you. So text us at 610- Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Don't forget, coming up at 10 o'clock, the Mike Missanelli Show with Ray Dunn. And then at 2 o'clock, day 2 of Unfiltered with Bill Colarulo and Ricky Bo. They sounded good yesterday.
It's even going to be more unfiltered today. They're
Even
gonna
more?
It's going to be like
filtered.
more.
Oh my
less filtered
It's a
than
lot
yesterday.
less filtered.
That'll be
unbelievable.
That'll be the 6 o'clock show. Kevin Cooney will do less filtered. It'll be unfiltered from 2 to 6,
It'll be
followed
like
by less filtered.
Mildly filtered.
Sounds like my Brita. I found out that I've been using this new Brita I got, and I never took the filter out of the plastic, and the
Ew.
just plastic container had been in it
Are
for
you
like
serious?
months.
Dude,
So I've
that
just been
stuff-
drinking plastic water.
Connor,
Yeah,
that's
not good.
terrible.
Yeah, I know it's not good.
I get
What do
not
you want me to
replacing
do?
the filter. I've done that. But the plastic,
Just leaving it on there?
that's not good.
I didn't
No, that's
realize.
terrible
It
for
wasn't
you.
on purpose. I can't take it back.
That's really bad for you. So you've
Yeah.
been drinking Philly water?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with
You've
that.
been
Well, Philly water is
that
good
is-
water.
Philly
No, I think
tap?
it's the plastic that I'm adding.
The
to it.
plastic's more concerning.
Andrew, Philly tap is like really bad.
So if I say
I love it
anything
there,
dumb,
Philly
I'm
tap.
going to blame it on the water.
We got the strips.
Yeah.
When
when
Olivia,
he
when
checked
Olivia
it.
moved into her building, we got the strips to just say, "Oh, it's no big deal, Dad. You know, here's put the strips in to show you.
Yeah.
Here's the lead. Here's it's bad.
Yeah.
So get the filtered water and use it every time you.
There
But
was a-
unfiltered is good.
There was a time.
Unfiltered is great
Yes,
at 2 o'clock.
unfiltered
I
is great at 2
love,
o'clock.
I love the unfiltered.
There was a time when I was at Temple, and they were redoing the plumbing outside. So they're tearing up the street,
Right.
and putting in the new pipes. And I'm in the shower, and then all of a sudden, I start hearing.
And was it mud?
As I'm in the shower, I start getting pelted with pebbles and dirt and rocks. Yeah.
And Bam Bam?
And Bam Bam. That was not fun. All right, Amy. So the Sixers have the 3rd overall pick. The latest report from Keith Pompey over the weekend is not necessarily from the Sixers, but from executives that are very interested on what the Sixers do with that pick. And there's been a lot of buzz that they could potentially trade back. Your thoughts on if the Sixers were to trade back, still in the top 10, but they would not be selecting a player at 3. I saw the Pelicans as one of those
Saw
teams
that.
that they could potentially trade back with.
Pelicans reportedly are interested in Ace Bailey, and they want him, and he would be available at 3, ostensibly, thinking that Dylan Harper would go 2nd, I guess, in this scenario. I would think that would be a conversations that those teams would have with whomever they need. But I mean, I'm not a fan with it. I think I've been on here and pretty adamant. I want them to take somebody at 3. I think that there's a lot of good value that's at 3. There's a lot of good players that can help you immediately at 3. Mm-hmm. You want an influx of talent and youth and somebody that's going to be cost effective. Number 3 is your guy.
Now, let me ask you, devil's advocate, because I don't really have a feel. Like you're like, this is what I want them to do.
Yeah.
What do you think
I
you're
want them to
getting
take Trey Johnson.
to do it, though?
If you trade back,
What are you getting?
if you trade back,
If you can get off one of the contracts, then I might think about it.
or if you trade back and you get a young player and you're drafting a young player, that's now 2 young players. Like I saw Herb Jones pop up a lot. A guy that can shoot it pretty well. He didn't play much this past year for the Pelicans. Must be something in New Orleans with Zion. But he's a guy that shot 40% from 3 2 seasons ago. He's younger.
Yeah, so if you get a player from the Pelicans in this theory and you get your draft pick,
Yeah.
and you can move off of one of your contracts.
Which contract would you think?
The Eric Gordon one
Yeah.
is one that screams at me.
I saw something the other day. I think it was Bobby
I don't
Marks.
think that's worth enough, is it?
Bobby Marks said they could talk him into opting out and with the idea of still re-signing him, but it would be for like
They have
a million less.
money available. They're at 102% of their cap. They're over it, which is not with the new way it works with the apron and whatever. It's not the end of the world, but you're trying to get younger, and you're trying to get better talent back.
Yeah.
One way to do that is through the draft. So you can't mess it up. Not saying they're going to, but if you really have a deal, I'm going to need a lot in return for that 3 pick, especially if the Pelicans covet as highly as they say they do. I don't know. I'm not sold on it. It better be a really good deal.
It's so hard because the NBA, unlike if we're talking a baseball trade, it's a baseball trade. If we're talking a football trade, it's a football trade.
You have to
NBA,
match.
you got to sit and
Yeah,
do
you gotta
this.
do all kinds of
You got to do this
stuff.
mental
Yeah.
gymnastics that
That's
makes
the
it
match.
so hard to figure out.
Yeah, it's like when I see people out and like, oh, can't they just trade for Giannis? I'm like, no.
No.
I mean, they could.
They could.
No.
It has to
Paul
make the money
George
work.
was involved. That's where the money is. Oh, can they get Bradley? No. because they have to match the money. Like,
Yeah.
and people, they know it, but then I get it. You want to have the pipe dream, but
So
no.
you want them to stay at 3 and just select
Ideally,
the player,
yes.
yeah.
It better be a really sweet deal. And it's got to help you to sign other young players. You better
Yeah.
move off multiple contracts to free up some of your space.
This is going to be as vague as possible. Is there any way you would draft a player at 3 and then, in order to then you have a commodity to then
shop,
then offer and shop and flip?
I mean, you'd really have to. And I know there's a lot of back channel conversations that go on. I'm going to take this guy for you
To then trade, yeah.
or if you're interested, I can do that. Here's what we need, and you just wonder why you don't do the deal ahead of time. And there's
Alfred Payton,
exactly,
Dario Saric.
So there's ways to do that. I'm not as a fan of that because I don't think the Sixers are in a position. When they were doing that, that was like process era, right? We're in the prime process era. We're here wheeling and dealing to garner assets.
Sure.
We're not in the asset game. We're in the win now game. So yes, in theory, I think it is good because you do want to garner some assets. That would be great. If you were a team that was like, yeah, I think if we get like 5 or 6 more guys, you don't have that. You have room for like one dude right now. One guy. And that guy is number 3 pick.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just math right there. That's the unfortunate thing of it. It would be great if they could do some things and be like, oh, yeah, well, we can take this guy or we can move back or we can draft somebody for you. But that's not how it is.
Look that way.
How it is. By the way, Terry McLaurin officially not attending mandatory
I love it.
minicamp.
I love it. Just things are working perfectly. They're going right according to plan.
But everything's so good with the Commander.
But it's mandatory minicamp. I don't want to get my hopes up for that.
No. I'm just saying is that
The training camp comes and these guys don't report. Then I'll be excited.
Yeah, and I just don't like the. I like that they start to have rich people's problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds really nice. All right. It is time now for the key three best minutes from today's show.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
Does someone not know that I have a bedtime to get to? I felt like last night
That
I
game
was
just
so
kept
annoyed.
dragging on,
I was
man.
so annoyed with that game last night, and I was just like, could I get to bed, please?
Well,
one way or another.
At least we
and
went to
it
bed
walked
happy.
that well. Exactly.
Because the Phillies won, scoring 2 runs in the bottom of the 11th inning to win it 4-3. Brandon Marsh
And
hits the
JT.
game winner. Yep, JT with the game tying hit. Brandon Marsh with the game winning hit. And it was something that they desperately needed.
Oh,
Now,
it was desperate. There was a time when this Phillies team,
except for Alex Wilp,
was one of the best in baseball in this run. When they were one of the best teams in baseball at making the opposing pitcher throw pitches.
Yeah.
Now, over anxious, jumpy, but don't worry. Rob Thompson will tell you all about his hitting coach. He'll tell you all about it.
a beauty of a topic like this is we were just going to mention it, and then all of a sudden, it seems like a lot of people have been thinking it, that the Phillies are just lacking a little pizzazz.
Yeah, they're a little pasty.
Well, again, not just
that,
yes.
but I mean, it's for pizzazz. The Phillies are
like you said, a country club-like team.
No, they're very much like, I would say, yes, they're a team that has a lot of, I would see it. And there are factions. What a lot of people don't understand is there are factions sometimes within a baseball clubhouse. And I always laugh. It's one of the things that you'll hear from fans. It's like, well, they got to have Garrett Stubbs in the clubhouse.
Right.
And I'm like, okay.
I saw that on our YouTube feed this morning.
And I always hear from people about the clubhouse. And I always say, I go to the clubhouse like 10 times. I am not an expert on the clubhouse, but I go to the clubhouse 10 times a year. I'm in there. I talk to the players. I'm in there. So to me, I always hear from people tell me about the clubhouse, and they have no idea what the clubhouse is like. They have no idea what it is.
And join us now, because he's probably going to hang up soon, on the Comcast Business Hotline. Every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. My man does just such an incredible job covering the Eagles for the Inquirer. Our man, Jeff McClain. Jeff, good morning.
Hey, guys. Morning. New players, whether drafted, free agency, some of that will happen in the classroom, some of that will happen on the field in terms of learning the playbook. Obviously, there's going to be new plays that are going to be installed. You know, real honestly, they're not doing much of that. It's going to be very vanilla in terms of what they're doing out there on the field. They don't really start getting into that stuff until training camp. Jalen Carter's going to get probably the highest contract, maybe even for a defensive player ever, when he gets one probably next offseason, depending upon how this year goes. So, and Nolan Smith's going to get paid at some point. So they have guys that they have to dig deep into the bank for future. And that's been the explanation. And
no, I'm not saying call up Garrett Stubbs. No, I'm not saying play dancing on my own, right? Like,
well, you better not do that, because that's it.
Don't do that. What I'm saying is just like they got to stop going and just work. Like, you got to have fun in their life. Do you believe there's certain things lacking with this Phillies team when it comes to the energy and fun and spunk of this ball club. Alrighty, that is the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show. And we've had Amy Fadul with us here for the entire 9 o'clock
great.
hour.
I appreciate you all.
It's been fantastic. So
we enjoy seeing you, Amy.
I'll be back not with you guys on Thursday and Friday, though.
With who?
10 to 2 with Mike Missanelli.
Ah, I love
How about
that.
There you go.
That's
10
nice.
to 2 on Thursday and Friday.
All right, well, we'll make
Dress
sure to be
warmly
listening for that.
because we're freezing
in
this
here.
week.
Yeah, and you know me, I like it cold in here.
Yeah, I mean, but this has really been cold.
It's like the AC's been blasting in here, which
It's 62 degrees
Maybe
outside,
it's because
so.
of unfiltered is so hot
Oh, it has to help filter.
that they have to make sure that it's the proper
Because they're unfiltered, they need some kind
temperature.
of other filter.
yeah.
Could be. I mean, I'm trying to think of the theories.
I'm excited to listen to it again today.
I just am more shocked is what does it say about the state of sports radio that an attorney
How could this
is
happen?
doing sports radio in Philadelphia, and we have one at midday.
Yeah.
Doing it. Still, I found that just.
Don't worry, we're holding down the fort, the non-lawyer
It's
show
incredible.
here on 97.5.
Wait a minute, I'm a TV person. How did you let me in here?
Dude, I didn't do this till I was 33. I'm like, it's unbelievable how it's like people are like, oh my gosh, you have to go to Poughkeepsie and then you have to then you got to move to Newark, Delaware.
Yep, you
and
got to
then
be in Beckley,
it out.
West Virginia.
And then hold the
I don't know what.
to your
Do we
head.
have to be
I feel like we're in the
1930s?
50s,
Yeah, do we
right
be
over?
1930s play-by-play guy?
By the way,
We do.
Ray Dunn does that voice well.
I could see. Yes.
For a young dude, he does the voice, the old man radio
I
voice.
could see
I could
Ray
see
in a
that.
previous life
Yeah.
being
I
one
think
of
you
those
have
guys.
like one of those
baseball guy with a stick mic.
Yeah.
sick mic and
Totally
like the little
see
like
that.
hat like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Bowlyard. It's a beautiful day today. You could do that.
He's wearing the vest, the suit,
Yeah, the vest.
tie.
He's got a bow tie maybe.
Connor, I could not see.
No.
Not my thing.
I couldn't see Connor.
Not a character actor.
Connor in a
Connor
tank
was
top.
a big leaguer in the previous
Connor,
life.
you would be a character actor.
Big leaguer in this life,
If
too.
Connor
son.
goes to L.A., Connor's a character actor. Connor shows up on CSI one week.
Yeah.
The next
in the
week,
background,
The
yeah.
next week he's
I
on
think the
another-
word
He's
you're
like
looking for
Law
is
and Order.
extra.
So you got that
No,
going. You
like a
got that
character
going
actor,
for
like a
you.
Law and Order. Like
No, you
you were
could
the
guest star.
you were like one of the criminals, but you weren't sure if it
Whoa,
was
now
you or
I'm a
not.
criminal?
Well, in Law and Order, you would be.
My goodness.
Sorry.
He'd get you on. And Amy and I could both probably get you on SVU.
I'd do
true.
it.
We both
know
got
somebody.
we got the A-list connections to SVU. Get you in there.
There you go. That's right. Yeah.
Kincade Salciunas one day, SVU the next.
Kelly's dog died just the other day too. She died. The dog.
Spoiler,
no more.
man.
So the dog won't be running around the set anymore.
That's
so.
a spoiler.
Hey, Pierce Phelps Bryant Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. They made a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research. They're awesome people. And they invite you to do it too. Go to 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives. And by the way, listening to the show, my buddy Dan Nisley, I'm playing at 1:30 today, and I got two people to play with.
See?
Oh, there you go.
So they-
Johnny's got a play date.
So I got a play date
Good
at 1:30.
for you.
So
Just
that's
let me know
good.
when it's time to pick you up.
So I got a play date.
You got to
Yeah,
come home
exactly.
for
You
dinner
got-
today, though,
Right.
because
And I think I'm
Mac and cheese night.
It's big. You got to come home for that one.
There you go.
All right, Amy. Thank you as
Thank you,
always.
guys.
We appreciate
There we
it.
go.
We'll
Good
see
job.
you on Thursday when
Yeah,
you're in with
Thursday,
Mike You
10 to 2.
Miss
And Friday.
and Friday. Everybody have a great rest.